disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing.
Lobito!
You got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Well, welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's a good friend, Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we got a fantastic one for you. There's a lot going on out there in the boxing sphere. We're gonna get right back to the saddle to talk about that. We also have a fight on ESPN this Saturday, Oshaki Foster versus Supernova. That's Abraham Nova. Should be an interesting little tidbit of a fight, so we're going to be focusing on that. But of course, the main event here is a lot of people were going nuts about Canelo's announcement today. What was it going to be? Was he going to go to space? Was he going to fight aliens? I mean, who knew, right? And then it turns out that, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to be opening up the phone lines near the end of the hour, so stay tuned for that. And many more things to come. Before we get down to the fun, let's get the business side of the way, fellas. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so via the Super Chat feature. Although it's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. Speaking of memberships, shout out to One Foot on the Door, who says, "It's been a while, fellas. Let's go," as he re-ups his membership program. Shout out to you, One Foot on the Door. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like. Don't forget you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker at your leisure. And what else am I missing here? Oh yeah, let's give a big shout out to all of the initiated out there. Talking about El Pachuco, Jump Tube, the Boxing Sicario, SSC in the house. Shout out to SSC, So Passive Live, Omar E, La Losoto 13 Gaming, the aforementioned One Foot Out the Door, Antonio Hernandez, Protectorate General, Quentin Lassiter, Garcia, hashtag ACSF, Roland Curtis, who else? Alejandro Marquez, Grim Reaper, the Gucci Berserk, Knockout Net, Dark Hate Doe, Bry, Exponent Canelo, Windy City, Rapax Drunken Company in the house. Shout out to Rapax Drunken Company 10-4. Shout out to Warp Speed, who's also in the house. Shout out to him. Brandon Looney Tunes fan, that's K-Nut. Frank Bay in the house as well. And many more people to come, I'm sure, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right. Let's get to the bottom of this. Let me start inviting a couple of people over here. How do I do this again? There we go. Calling a couple of people here so we get something. We're going to be speculating a lot about this Canelo thing because the big news was that he was going to make an announcement on TV Azteca over there in Mexico. And the news was that the fights over there in Mexico, sunny side of the world, are going to remain on free television, not pay-per-view. And then on top of that, he said that he's not fighting a fellow Mexican, but he's fighting a gringo, an American, a Yank. So now that leads to speculation about who will he fight. I got Never Sobers here in the house. Never Sobers, thank you for jumping in. Big news. It's a lot of speculation beforehand. Some people were saying Canelo was going to leave the PBC. Other people were saying that he was going to fight Munguia. Other people were saying that he was going to retire. Was the news a little underwhelming for you, or what did you expect?
I really didn't expect anything. I thought he was just going to announce his next opponent. I guess you could say it's underwhelming because for Americans, because really it was about more his deal with Box Azteca and the deal that they're doing in Mexico. I think the whole press conference had more to do with that than anything else. And I think I was looking at some videos that there's Americans going live for it and stuff like that. I don't know what they expected. I didn't expect world changing news. Some people thought he was going to retire. I don't know why. You know what I mean? I think some people overblew it.
Yeah, man. I mean, some people. It's also because there were people out there on Twitter fermenting people's minds, really stirring them up, saying, "Oh shit! I just found out what it was. Y'all gonna be surprised." And then people, in the comment section, "Wow, what is it? What is it?" And I think some people got played, man. But that's why I refrained from saying anything yesterday in the past 2 days, because who the fuck knows what's gonna happen? But hey, you never know. 2024, it's been a spicy year so far, and we're only into the month of February, so could be more news coming out. Some people are speculating in the chat here that this announcement was intended to stir up the pot a little bit within the PBC in order to get Jermall, David Benavidez, and Crawford a little riled up. Because not one thing Canelo did say is that he's going to be fighting an American. And that means it could be Charlo, it could be Crawford, or it could be Benavidez. Because Benavidez is an American.
I still think it's going to be Charlo, bro. You know what I mean? They've been talking about that fight for a minute. Since the beginning of that deal Canelo made with PBC, I think it's going to be Jermall.
That would be incredibly underwhelming. That would be a disgusting fight. He would be fighting a crackhead in Jermall Charlo. And people are going to say, "Oh, why you got to be a crackhead?" What else is it going to be? You want to go with alcohol?
I say Crawford got credit for beating up an alcoholic. Why can't Canelo get credit for beating up a crackhead?
Well, that not everybody gets the same credit. In fact, we're going to get into this later on. The Ring Magazine, those geniuses over there. And this isn't against anything against the editors. It's really the panelists over there that vote pound for pound. These motherfuckers, they took Teofimo Lopez off the pound for pound list, but Tank Davis is still there. We're going to get into that. We got Bucha jumping in. Bucha, what do you think about this Canelo news? Do you think some people in the chat were saying that he was doing this pseudo announcement on purpose to try to stir people up and maybe acquiesce to his demands? Because maybe some people are playing hard they're playing what do they call it? They're being difficult at the negotiating table. They're playing hardball, and so this is a way of him saying
difficult.
Go ahead.
Like, who would be difficult? These other boxers, they don't have any pull. Anything like any leverage? Charlo, this guy should retire. He hasn't done anything in the last few years. He was a hype job. Terence Crawford, if Terence Crawford moves up, he can easily make that fight. There's a lot of money involved. I guess Benavidez, that's the fight that would maybe require some sort of more negotiations, but even then, I still believe that the plan is for Canelo to fight Benavidez in September. So whoever he decides to fight in May, I don't give a shit. I know we're gonna have people start complaining. "Oh, wait, you think you're fighting Benavidez?" Oh. The plan has always been that the last fight for Canelo with the PBC is going to be Benavidez. So, yeah, all that happened today was that we now know that Munguia is not going to be an opponent. So Munguia is not fighting Canelo. That's it.
Now, it does raise the question here of, he's saying he's going to fight an American. Is a possibility that he could be fighting Crawford? How likely is it?
I don't think it's likely. I think
it would be, a lot of people would be surprised if the fight was announced. I don't see that happening next. Not just yet. But I do see Crawford. He's inching towards it. He's trying to put it out there to make this fight happen. You know what I mean? I think Crawford wants to fight. I don't know if Canelo's on board with it.
Yeah, because it's already been established that Spence rematch ain't happening. There's no reason why it should happen in terms of competitive. Competitively, it's not a good fight. And on top of that, these guys are still going to want the same money or even more. I'm pretty sure Crawford now, greedy little guy he is going to go pay me more money. And because he feels that because he beat Spence, then that he deserves more money somehow. And there's no money in that fight. People are already, listen, I don't understand why people out there thought there were people. I remember we had some of these people on the open lines. That fight's going to do $1 million. Spence Crawford going to do $1 million. Like, in what world are these two guys close to mainstream? You need at least one mainstream guy to get close to $1 million. You got two guys that are virtual unknowns in America. You thought those guys were gonna make do $1 million pay-per-views, and now after the shellacking Crawford dished out to Spence, it's gonna be even worse. The pay-per-view numbers are gonna be worse, desultory, despicable. So yeah, man, that's why I'm thinking maybe Crawford. Look, he doesn't want to fight Jaron Ennis. If you listen to what he's been saying, and if you believe that, he wants that Canelo money. Maybe Teofimo Lopez, he'd be willing to fight him because it would be, Lopez is a young guy. He's got a lineal title. He's very talkative. Maybe they could ferment something there, but
why is Crawford all of a sudden talking about this fight? You know what I think it is, though? I think some people are getting into Crawford's head, like they're convincing him. Like, hey, you got a chance, bro.
The same people that convinced him to sue Bob Arum for racism, Bucho.
Yeah, exactly. That entourage, man. They're fucking a bunch of retards. They're probably I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised telling him, listen, look at Canelo. He couldn't stop Jermall. You're much better than Jermall. You have longer reach. I think he has a longer reach, huh? By the way.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they're probably telling him a bunch of bullshit. So.
I gotta tell
you, payday is fucking huge. So
I gotta tell you, this whole Canelo thing bores me. That's why I didn't care even talking about this last night when people were doing the rumor. What's it gonna be? I don't give a shit. I'm curious. I want to see the fights and this whole speculation. Who's he gonna fight? It's boring, man. Every time Canelo opens his mouth, people, especially his haters. I hate to use the word hater because I try not to look at boxing that way. Oh, he a hater. He a dig rider. But it is what it is. The people that dislike him cling on to his every word, and his hardcore fans cling on to his every word as well. I'm just going to wait to see when he announces next for May, and I'm pretty sure the Benavidez fight comes in September, or in other words, a difficult fight comes in September, because that's the blueprint they were following in 2017, and I expect much of the same this time. And like I said, he's going to be fighting an American. That could be Benavidez, that could be Crawford, that could be Charlo, at least in theory. But, supposedly the rumor was that PBC couldn't afford to pay him his quota, and that's why Canelo was going to, supposedly the announcement was going to be that he was going to. Was that Jimmy?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was me. No, it wasn't me. I'm muted.
Yeah, that's why I can hear you.
He said Rick Glazer's wrong again. That's what he said.
Was that Source?
He said Rick Glazer's wrong again.
Oh, well, that's the thing about Glazier is people love to talk about Glazier. Oh, Glazier's wrong. He's like, whoever said that the guy was infallible? He's been right a whole bunch. Statistically, he was bound to get it wrong here. I don't understand why people really dislike that dude. He really makes people hate him for some reason. Well, I mean, we know the reason why. But Jimmy, I'm trying to move away from this whole Canelo thing because there's not much to say. I mean, he made an announcement. What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Jimmy.
No, Jimmy's muted.
I know he's muted, but sometimes I don't know if he knows he's muted or if he doesn't know. So.
Oh, hello.
Yeah,
Jimmy,
you're okay. Go ahead. About Canelo fighting an American.
Yeah, that's what that was his announcement. It was fighting an American. Yeah,
that's it.
Did he say on what network?
No, I don't think he did.
Yeah, because the thing, Garcia is still. I mean, not Garcia, but that Glacier. When he first announced that, I think 2 days ago, he tweeted out that I heard that he's not taking the PBC deal because he can't secure the money. And I'm like, I didn't hear that from anybody else. Usually when it's something big like that, if Glazier's saying something like that, I won't take that as gospel until it's kind of rumored around by other people. and I've heard it around, but nobody else was saying that. You know, people who were closer to Canelo than Glacier, you know, Glacier's people, and nobody said anything about that. So that seemed odd to me. It didn't seem like and for the reasons too, securing the money, like they're getting the money in escrow. Yes, Canelo, but he wouldn't need the money in escrow that far out. Like if the fight's not supposed to be until May, correct? So we're in February. He wouldn't be saying if that money is in escrow by fucking March, April. I mean, probably 30 days out, I would imagine, or maybe 45 days out, but not now. So that right there didn't make sense to me. And like I said, my thing with, because when it comes to Glacier, the one thing I'll really pay attention to when he talks pay-per-view numbers, because of his connection with that lawyer in Los Angeles, and because he's been dead on number of times, like dead on the numbers, like days before even Showtime, like the Wilder. He said that he heard it did 77. Dan Raphael, who's the mouthpiece for the PBC, said 75, which means it didn't even sell 75 probably. You know, that was the number they were probably trying to float around. But
hey Jimmy, if you're if you're the PBC and Dan Raphael is your mouthpiece, aren't you worried about how much you got to put in there in that mouth? Because I mean, it just would seem insatiable, right?
See him coming in throwing a fucking buffet, will put you out of business. All you can eat one. That fucking dude, he's a big motherfucker. No, I don't listen. Dan's a shill. Dan sold himself out, but
yeah, but Jimmy, let me ask you this.
Because I don't know. Was that Never Sober saying that about a lot of people, and then you said a lot of people. A lot of people do hate on Glacier. Like I said, he does online too, and he's kind of fucking. The way he's like, well, you don't follow me, I'm not going to talk to you. Type shit he says to people is kind of strange. But I don't know what American Fighter. Listen, if he announces it, Jermall Charlo, and he's gone out of his way now to pre-announce an announcement, because wasn't that all he said was, I'm going to be fighting an American Fighter, I'll let you know in 2 weeks?
Something like that, yeah. But let me ask you this, because you brought up the point. I didn't watch the thing. I just looked at the updates on Twitter. But you mentioned something interesting. You asked, did he say on which network? So is it possible that Rick Glacier could still be proven right? That
of course. It could be on DAZN. They have fights coming up. You know what I mean? He could be working with Eddie Hearn again. Because clearly there's money issues at the PBC. You don't have to have inside information to know that. They haven't announced anything. The one fight they announced with Tim fucking Thurman, who's, I don't care about the WBO. In some countries, they're not even recognized. Yeah, what country is that, Thurman, you fucking knucklehead? He's just angry because they won't sanction his fight because he doesn't deserve it because he's retired. But that's neither here nor there. But the fact that you have to have fans finance that hot trash, you got no fucking money. There's no, and again, Espinoza said it. Well, where the PBC used to be, fucking produced by Showtime, that's no longer the case. And by produced, meaning they put on the fight. They handle all aspects of it. So, no, there's all kinds of shit going on. Listen, all right, one of the things that makes me think they still want to keep the PBC in existence is the Rolly Romero thing. Because they're not I don't even know how they pulled this. How did they get Rolly Romero, right? You're going to probably lose your belt whether you fight Garcia or fucking Cruz. But for a fraction of the money, literally a fraction of the money you would have made fighting, and this fucking short bus ride is on, well, people are getting mad at me because I'm fighting him. You got the man, I'm fighting the tougher guy for shorter money. I'm not even making the same money. Dude, that's not what this is about, dude. It's you know what I mean? That's stupid. You take, if it's the same, if it's actually even more risk, it should be more reward. So what she's telling you is that who convinced you that? How does that benefit you? I would have loved to have been in on that conversation, but at least it tells me the PBC still has some kind of plan because he's still trying to hold on to certain belts.
You know that Rolly Romero situation? That's the opposite of the Stephen Fulton situation. Remember when Stephen Fulton, they wanted to put him in there with Figueroa in the rematch, and he says, screw that, I want more money against Inoue. And, to his credit, he pushed for that and he got it. But Romero, like you always say, you gotta, you gotta take him to the park, still holding his hand when he's in his mid-20s. You know, he's probably can't do basic math. So I mean, I'm unsurprised that they bamboozle him and cornswaddle him into this deal. But hey, Sobers, let me ask you this, man, because
what's up?
L-Dog, not to be confused with Ed Dog, by the way. I saw people in the Discord confusing them. He says Canelo is fighting a black undefeated American. Ain't that what the haters wanted for years? Well, what do you think about that?
That's been my argument the whole time that this conversation that Charlo's been brought up. When he was supposed to fight him the first time, everyone was like, oh, come on. He hasn't fought in forever, man. The little brother will probably whoop his ass. He's a lot more skilled. He just became undisputed. And then when it was the little brother's turn to fight, they're like, come on, man. He's going to bring up the little brother that just came up from whoop-de-whoop. And after he beat him, they said that Jermall was already about to retire. So now that it's Jermall's turn to finally step up after how many times this fight was already proposed to him, you know, it's a cherry pick, and I don't know, bro. It's a fight I've been wanting to see for years, bro. So it's one of these dudes that Canelo's been ducking for years, supposedly. So now it's time to fight, and they don't want to fight him. They want to fight the next guy who they think has the best chance of beating him. You know what I mean? That's why I'm not on board with that Benavidez fight.
I'm pretty sure if he doesn't fight Jermall Charlo, there's going to be some people, not that many, but there's going to be some saying, he avoided Charlo. I mean, you just never know with people nowadays. Exactly, like with Canelo, it's he sets them off. He makes them illogical. Cracks
his detractors are going to, no matter who he fights, Jimmy, anybody, they're going to hate on him. Yes, Pucho.
The fact that Canelo's coming out, I think he was on Mexican television, TV Azteca, to announce who he's gonna not who he's gonna be fighting, but that he will be fighting on May the 4th against an American. The fact that he's saying this while the PBC hasn't said anything yet, what does that tell you about what's happening with the PBC? I mean, they're supposed to find a fight for Canelo, and Canelo's going on his own.
This is just my opinion. The reason why he did that on Azteca television. Because I heard recently, I don't know if I read it, I can't remember where, from it was the deal, but he had just re-signed recently with Azteca Television or the Mexican television network.
Right.
So maybe that's.
Yeah. Is it just me or
Jimmy?
Yeah, Jimmy, we lost you, man. Jimmy, they got to him, man. PBC got to him. Jimmy, jump out and jump back in, man, because something happened there.
The PBC, they have powerful people, man.
The migrants got to him. No, but listen, that's a good question there, Bucho. And I mean, again, people keep bringing up the PBC Thurman Zoo press conference, which really looked like it was done on the cheap, man. I mean, they had some sort of slab of wood as a podium. They didn't even bother to put a poster in front of it or, the names of the fighters. And so I don't know, man. It does seem interesting that, and then the undercard, it's not exactly the best. So who knows what's happening with that? But again, it's interesting because people love to say, people say that the PBC is going out of business, and it's still here. It's still here. Our position here at BDA Boxing, and Butch is the one that worded it perfectly, is like we're not saying that we're not giving you the specific date in which it's going to go away, but that what we're saying is it's going away. You can't say the same thing about the Zone.
Yeah.
Yes, boxing on ESPN.
Yeah, because I remember somebody telling Jimmy, Jimmy, you've been saying that the PBC is gonna, dissolve or disappear for a long time, and he never does. But then Jimmy said, well, I never said when, right? But we can see the trend where it's going. We can see that they're getting kicked out of network after net. The PBC is getting kicked out of the network. They're losing fighters. Now they don't really have a network. I mean, on Amazon, they just have one event so far, and there's rumors now that they might not even continue with Amazon. So, yeah, Jimmy was right. The PBC it's going to disappear pretty soon.
Yeah,
well,
compared to...
you remember... I was going to say, Butcher, remember how Leonard Smellerby, you said how... He said it would never be on an app like the Zone. They would talk down on Eddie Hearn for being involved with an app, and that's where they're at now. So you see, all the shit they've been talking, they're fighting their way down the escalator too. You know what I mean?
And they're on Amazon. Sure, Amazon is a big company, but their streaming service is not. They're just getting sports. They're getting into some sports, but they're not a sports. It's not in the ESPN Plus or the Zone. You know what I mean? And they didn't even get a deal. They're not getting any money from Amazon. So it's even worse than what Eddie Hearn did. Yeah, Eddie Hearn, I mean, he got money from the zone, right? So he was winning in a sense. This guy is a loser, man. Al Haymon is a fucking loser. He has no fucking money. He goes to Amazon and they don't even give him any money. So now the guy's like fucking bankrupt. And, trying to, okay, he comes up with a shitty card, the Keith Thurman card. And that's it. He can't come up with anything else. Are you guys telling me Al Haymon is the most powerful man in boxing? You guys are fucking pathetic. They were talking all this fucking shit about how the PBC is so great. They were laughing about, Eddie Hearn being on the zone, this and that. And look at the PBC now. You fuckers were wrong. You will never admit it, but you were wrong.
I mean, compare them to where they were 5 years ago.
Dumb,
compare them to where they were. Dumb. Compare them to where they were 5 years ago. Now they're scraping by, trying to find dates, trying to find investors, putting subpar fights on pay-per-view. Because I mean, look, listen. If this fight was on Amazon and you could get it with your basic subscription, I mean, hey, it is what it is. But the fact that it's on pay-per-view, that's what people are missing. So, I mean, hey, we'll see what happens with the PBC. But yeah, they're done. I mean, if I were a fan of the PBC, or if I were, I mean, as a boxing fan, it doesn't look good to me, the outlook for the PBC. And if I were an investor or something in PBCs, I would.
Yeah, we have Hand Flow Boxing Review says Al is a Harvard-educated businessman who sucks at business. Oh, he does suck at business. Look at what's happening.
Well, you know what though? He actually has made money.
He's a con artist.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. He's made money off of boxing because he takes a percentage off of these guys. So whether they're fighting on the zone or whether they're fighting on PBC, he doesn't care. He's getting that percentage. But it's been a fleece job, essentially. It's been a bust out. That's what he's been doing on these networks for years. And so he's been making money, but at the detriment of pretty much almost every other boxer in his stable. So that ain't good. That really ain't good.
Well, it ain't good. He had $500 million in 2015, I believe. He had all those network television dates. He had a bunch of boxers. What did he do? Where is this business savviness? What did he do with all of that?
I mean, think about
it. What did he do? Where is he now? Where is he now?
We're talking about the trend, right? The downward trend for the PBC. Take a look, and we've mentioned this before. Look at Golden Boy. They got fleeced. They got gutted, essentially, from most of their boxers in 2014 when the PBC stole them from the Golden Boy stable. And look at them now. They're still doing okay. There's no talks about them going on there or having to move to a new network or something. Meanwhile, like you said, to your point, Bucho, look at all the fighters the PBC took, Haymon took. And where are they now? Spence is a drunk, or as I Am Your Leader calls him, the town drunk. Wilder is never lived up to the potential. He was overrated. Who else we're talking about here? Danny Garcia, when he was at Golden Boy Promotions, he was thriving on his way to being a pound for pounder. Then he just became an opponent. I mean, the list goes on and on. Tank Davis is the only one that they can look and say, oh yeah, we've pretty much built a brand around him. But it ain't exactly Canelo now, is it? So yeah, man. I mean, it's a reality. The PBC didn't do as well as they should have with all the fighters they had.
And they could have. I think they could have. With everything that they had on their side, like what I just mentioned, the fighters, the money, the networks, and they didn't do anything with that.
I mean, it is what it is, man. But speaking of Tank Davis, so I don't know. I mean, again, there's a lot of speculation going on in boxing. Again, we don't have much going on this weekend. In fact, I believe somebody corrected me. I think the Nova versus Oshaki Foster fight is on a Friday. Let me double check. Now, okay, this Friday we have Jojo Diaz fighting on the zone. No, excuse me, so that's a Thursday. Yeah, okay, so the zone card on Thursday, thank God, because it's not even that good a card. I mean, Jojo Diaz, Jesus Perez, that the zone, hey, listen, you want to criticize the zone, criticize them for this card. And then the next day on Friday, it's Oshaki Foster versus Abraham Nova. We also have Choo Carrington on the undercard. Tiger Johnson fighting there as well. So that's what we got. So that's why we're talking. Oh, excuse me. Adrian Curiel, who upset Nochingas on a couple of months ago. He's having that rematch on the zone on a Friday as well. Competing cards. So we got a little something going on. Anyway, back to the he said, she said, rumors and all that. Conor Benn apparently Eddie Hearn offered Tank Davis a substantial offer, according to rumors here, a substantial amount of money. Conor Benn says, look, sign the contract. If 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 mil ain't enough, stop piping up on Twitter. Stay quiet, stay at home with a little tag on your ankle with your house arrest instead of piping up on Twitter. So he's sort of intimating that the offer is around that stratosphere, talking 10 mil or 10 plus mil. Guys, what do you think about this? Should Gervonta Davis take this fight and fight abroad in the UK?
Yeah, I think it's a winnable fight for him, to be honest. I don't think Conor Benn's that great. And it's a good payday, but it depends on if his handlers believe in him. I feel like they're scared for Davis right now. They're losing all their fighters, and the only one they got that has like so for some reason he has credibility, right? But he's kind of the only one they got right now. You know how I see it so far. Like, you know what I mean? As far as the PBC goes, all their stars have kind of been beaten or just missing MIA. So I feel like they're going to hold really, really tight onto Davis and make sure nothing bad happens to him. So I don't know if they'll let him take that fight.
Well, it's interesting. If you look at why is he fighting any of the top lightweights in his division, or why is he fighting at least some of the junior welterweights? People have been clamoring for a Devin Haney fight. Why is he fighting Devin Haney? Why does he have to fight or challenge a welterweight? And it's interesting because the last time he challenged, before, when he challenged Barrios, that was a bigger guy, right? Barrios really looked vulnerable against Akhmadaliev, I believe, that Eastern European guy. So he only decided to fight that bigger dude once he looked bad, and he had to put in a rehydration clause. Same thing with Ryan Garcia. He said it himself. People can say, excuses, blah, blah, blah. He said it himself. He said, Ryan Garcia's got too many physical advantages, so it's only fair to even things out. So now that Conor Benn is unable to knock out two subpar opponents in a row, all of a sudden, Tank Davis starts talking to the guy. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like Tank Davis wants to fight the best. It seems like he's going for mediocre opposition, which is what he's been doing for the past 6 years. And you don't build a star that way. I'm sorry, man. A lot of what the casual fans base their opinion on trickles down from the hardcore fans. So if they're not hearing any buzz from the hardcore fans, they're not really going to look into this fight. They're going to enjoy those type of fights. So they're making a mistake here by trying to put him in there against Conor Benn. But then again, the PBC does need rejuvenation, financial rejuvenation, and this fight could perhaps fill their coffers with some much needed.
The thing is, if Tank fights on pay-per-view, that means he's a pay-per-view star.
I mean, that's what people have said, right? I mean, Devin Haney, when Haney was going at it with Shakur Stevenson on Twitter, that the Haney fans were saying Shakur should take the lowball offer or the lower end of the offer because he ain't been on pay-per-view. Well, guess what? Devin Haney has been on pay-per-view. You're correct about that, the Haney fans, but he's on horrible numbers. In fact, did you see, Bucho, and I put it in the most shocking moments thing, when Ariel Helwani asked Haney about the pay-per-view numbers for the Prograis fight, and the shifty eyes. He looked like fucking Stevie Wonder in there, Haney did, with the eyes all over the place. It's like, what the fuck is the matter? I mean, I think Jimmy put it best. If you want to play poker with somebody, play poker with Haney, because he ain't got no goddamn poker face. You can read that guy from a mile away. And, hey, but Bucho, what do you think? Well, I don't know, you, Bucho, I don't know if we got Gonzalo here jumping in. How do you guys think, if it happens, a Tank Davis versus Conor Benn fight, how would that play out?
Let Gonzalo go. I think he wants to say something. Gonzalo.
To be honest, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I like Conor Benn. How tall is he? 5'7.5"?
Yeah, something like that.
I know he hasn't got the knockouts in his last two performances, but prior to that, when he fought the Mexican that I forgot if Figueroa or about 2-3 years ago, the guy that Danny Garcia knocked out, I was like, man, that guy's pretty good. The Mexican that Danny Figueroa knocked out, I can't remember his name. Starts with an F, his last name. Anyhow.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I mean, I remember he knocked out that dude with the tattoos, a Colombian guy that fights out of Canada. He's the one that Ortiz beat and Errol Spence beat. I don't know if you're talking about him.
I think it's that guy.
Samuel
I just thought he was
Vargas.
a Mexican or
Samuel
Mexican
Vargas.
American.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vargas. No, Vargas too. He also knocked out Vargas, the Colombian guy. That guy's a Colombian guy. I thought, it was one of the Mexicans that Danny Garcia had knocked out like in 2 rounds. It's like when he fought Conor Benn, he was running the whole time, and that guy was pretty
Granados,
good.
Granados,
Guy,
yeah.
Granados, yeah. Adrian Granados. I thought Adrian Granados, it was pretty good, and he was running from Conor Benn. Now, the way I've been seeing Conor Benn training in the gym, like, through my YouTube feed, when that dude hits the bag, he rattles the bag. And in my opinion, he's a power puncher. Yeah, is he crude? Probably, yeah. He needs development. He couldn't knock out his last opponent, who, not this one, but the one prior to that, who popped for PDs. The guy from Sinaloa, El Sinaloita.
Mm-hmm.
Forget his name. This tall guy with the rat tail. And so it's like, okay, that was an aggressive fighter that brought it to Conor Benn, and Conor Benn was just hanging. He was in there with him, and he was pressing, and it was like, okay, this fight's kind of like, if it's not exciting, it's like, it's kind of got you at the edge of your seat, because you know that the guy from Sinaloa, the tall Mexican dude, I think he was about 6'1", he wanted the smoke, and but he couldn't like really hurt Conor Benn either. So from that, I kind of surmised that he's got a tough chin. He does have power. Maybe he needs to learn how to land it better and better his boxing skills. But I just think it's a dangerous fight for a smaller Tank Davis. Yeah, we know what Tank Davis brings to the table. He's real negative. He waits to for you to make a mistake. So sometimes he'll make it seem like, he's vulnerable and be there to be hit. So once you start attacking him, he'll land his own counter because he's got short arms. He doesn't have the luxury of like stepping to you and tracking you down. He's got to allow you to come to him. So he's got to play possum in some instances, like he did against, Rolly Romero, right?
Right.
And set those type of traps for you. But I think it's a good fight. I don't think he'll take it though in the UK, because if they're offering him $10 million, they want him to bring him over there. I think they do believe that they could beat a guy like Tank Davis, because what's this guy? His son. What is the one we're talking about right now? Conor Benn. Yeah, he seems like an aggressive character. Like, I don't know. Like, that's one of the things he's got. I know they blame it on the eggs that he tested positive. But he he's got like high testosterone. Like that dude, I don't know. He's got an edge about him. Like that Mexican dude, Gallo Loro, that knocked out what's his name? The other Mexican. Yeah, he's got an edge to him. So maybe that's what they need to iron out. They need to iron out the aggressiveness in order for it to channel into his boxing skills. Because sometimes when you're too aggressive, you can't quite settle into your boxing skills. But that's all I have to say. I don't think they'll take that fight anyhow.
This Conor Benn situation, like you're right. That's why Tank Davis wants to fight him, because he knows Conor Benn's gonna come to him. Tank Davis ain't walking anybody down or anybody good, to be more precise. And on top of that, I forget where I read it, but that they want a catch weight against Conor Benn. 144 or something. So, I mean, they just can't stop with the catch weights and the rehydration clauses. It's interesting. People always used to say before, hey, if he can make the weight, who cares how much he rehydrates to? Now, all of a sudden, people are on board with the whole rehydration clause for their fighters. Everybody else can go screw themselves. I mean, and I don't like it. What else was I going to say about that? So, yeah, I mean, that's another thing that we'll see if they decide to move or collaborate with another promotional entity. And that's the other thing, though. Hey, real quick, speaking of Davis going over to the UK, he already did it once when he fought Liam something. One of those Liams. All those UK guys are named Liam. But Shakur Stevenson recently came out and said that he wouldn't fight abroad because of the advantages of fighting in your hometown. And I'm thinking a lot of people are starting pointing that out. They said, they're very aware of A-side advantages at home. Roy Jones said that for years when people would keep saying, hey, why don't you go fight Michalewski or whatever, however you pronounce his name. He goes, well, it's because, people get robbed over there. Meanwhile, Roy Jones was getting caught with substances in his body, and they blamed it on a nasal spray, and they let it go, and just stuff like that. Mayweather using an IV bag the night before the Pacquiao fight, which was illegal. Shakur Stevenson blowing weight for the Conceição fight and then hitting him 20 times in the balls, and the referee never does anything. He's just looking in there like a retard, wide-eyed retard. So yeah, it's like, he's projecting. He doesn't want to fight abroad because he knows with his horrible style, if he gets into another Cruz type matchup, the decision could go against him. I mean, look at Ortiz against Lopez. He was running around and he didn't get the decision because Lopez was the A side. So that's the way it goes. Hey, Butch, I wanted to bring something up to you, man. Well, Gonzalo too, but Butch, because you were the one that brought it up. In the aftermath of the Lopez versus Ortiz fight, where Ortiz was moving a lot, especially in the last 6 rounds, I started thinking about this. First of all, Ortiz moving excessively. The rules state that if a guy is avoiding combat, he could be warned and or penalized because he's avoiding combat. So now we get into the issue of, well, how do you define excessive movement, right? But putting that aside, which I know is a complicated thing, I wanted to throw a scenario at you. Let's say Ortiz comes in, starts moving, right? And Teofimo Lopez stood his ground in the middle of the ring at one point and said, hey, come to me. Let's say Lopez decided to go even further and started circling opposite of Ortiz. So that essentially both guys are just circling against each other. What, if you're the referee, what would you do?
I have no idea. They're both circling each other.
I don't know. I think the crowd probably will start booing if it's like sustained. What do you call it? Lull in the action.
Right.
I mean, because eventually somebody got to do something.
Because the reason why I bring that up is because Sean Porter is one of those dudes, one of those guys that he condones running. And he's like, well, it's up to fighter B to do something about it. But that's my thing, though. We need to define what moving excessively is. And I think, although it's hard to define, most people can see it. Boxing fans can know when someone's moving excessively. And if we know, then the referee should know as well. So my thing is this. When a guy starts moving excessively, I think the referee really should start warning them about it. And the reason why I presented that scenario about Teofimo Lopez, should he have decided to move counterclockwise as well, nonstop, who would have been at fault? Because you wouldn't be able to blame Lopez for doing that because he's essentially doing what Ortiz is doing. So my thing is, the referee really should start applying the rules and saying, hey, if you're moving excessively to the point where it's almost near impossible to just pin you down, and you're punching off the back foot, where even if you land, you're not hurting the other guy, you're just essentially tapping him. That's Olympic-style computer scoring, and it shouldn't really work in professional boxing, because in professional boxing,
no, the referee should step in. If he doesn't step in, at least the judges should not award him the round.
Mm-hmm. In my opinion, BDA, Bucho, moving excessively, it's kind of like Shakur Stevenson when let's say I step to you, but then you step back, and then instead of choosing the guy that stepped back, instead of choosing to counter, okay, he can counter, but then let's say I step to you, you step back, then I do like another step forward, you step back again. When the person takes a double step back without even attempting to throw a counter, to me that's running already.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you
want to stay out of range.
You're staying out of range.
Yeah, that's the thing that most people don't understand. Because
when I first saw the fight, we were watching it. He was moving a lot, right? But I didn't have too much of a problem with it. You know what I mean? But to win a fight, you can't win like that. And after the cut, I feel like he dropped every round. After that, Ortiz, I feel like he was in a panic mode the way he was fighting, and it was just too much, bro. You can't win like that.
Yeah, and even if you're excessively moving, no matter how many punches you throw, your connect percentage is gonna be awful, which it was from Ortiz. So you can throw as many punches as you want moving back, but those punches aren't gonna be effective because you're punching off the back seat. And then on top of that, because of the excessive movement, you can't really catch the guy. And I didn't see Lopez get caught with that many flush shots. That's why I thought it was a tricky fight to score, even though I had it for Ortiz slightly. But he didn't do himself any favors by moving, because by moving excessively, it made it difficult to see the punches that he did connect with. And so that's my thing is, look, at this point, we got to define we got to enforce the rules. If a guy's avoiding combat, the referee really should do something about it. And this is going to improve the quality of the fights, and it's going to improve the quality of the sport. But this running around...
I have a question. By the way, people in the chat, please hit the like button. If you're enjoying the show, it's going to help us out. Hit that like button. BDA, I have a question for you. Do you remember Golovkin, who was very good at cutting the ring? Do you remember him ever fighting somebody that ran like Ortiz?
Yeah, what's his name? Willie Monroe. When he hurt him, he had him moving like that. Who else is a bit of a mover? Like Daniel Gill was moving a lot. Not
at
really
the end, yeah.
Much. Daniel Gill
Martin
was...
Murray. No, Martin Murray wasn't. No.
He was not a mover, but he was against Golovkin, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Canelo was moving the first fight. He was moving a little excessively.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. So my point is this, though. I mean, if you, no matter who you are, you're going to struggle with somebody that's moving a lot. You know, you can't just simply cut the ring off every time. And, and like Teofimo Lopez, he's not good at cutting off the ring. So that's why it made it look even worse. You know what I mean? That the running.
Yeah, that's why when people go, well, it was up to him to cut off the ring. And I agree. Even when people don't run against him, he still has trouble cutting the range, because when he fought Nakatani, giant, tall Japanese boxer, he wasn't running, but he made Lopez look awful in that fight because Lopez couldn't get past his jab. So yeah, of course, Lopez does have some fault, but in this scenario, it was nonstop movement from Ortiz in a lot of spots. And rewatch the Lopez versus Martin fight. Martin actually did it well. He's moving, but he's not exactly circling nonstop. And he landed clean shots on Lopez, even dropped him twice. But, they didn't count one of those knockdowns. But so I actually thought Martin did better against Lopez than Ortiz did. But anyway, we should.
I even think Ortiz felt embarrassed at some point.
Well, he should.
But he knew he had to do it. He was so afraid of, to engage.
You know what else?
He was.
You know why else he should be embarrassed, Bucho? Because prior to the fight, he's looking at the camera with his posse in the back. They got a photo of Lopez and they're tearing it up and say, "Yeah, whoa!" It's like woof, 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 woof. Like his posse's barking in the background. And then he goes in the ring. He starts running. I mean, I hate that, man. I hate that from boxers when they go. Remember Shakur Stevenson told that to Cruz, "I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna mess you up." His posse was talking shit to Cruz too. Remember that outside the arena? And then he goes in there and he's leaping like a rabbit every time a feint comes his way. You can't respect that. And I know that you got the boxing hipsters saying, "Well, it's hitting, not get hit." I gotta tell you, it's very hard to hit if you're a runner. If you're a runner, you're not gonna hit that much. Look at the Guillermo Regan though too, for example, when he ran against Casimero. Casimero sucks too as a pressure fighter, but Guillermo Regan that didn't land much because, like we're saying, it's difficult to land when you're constantly on the move. It's not a productive way of fighting.
And it's like, that's why I like when people criticize, they highlight the fact that Teofimo Lopez was flaming at the air, then he was like a big miss. Because that guy did his homework. He did his homework, that guy did his homework as well with Lomachenko. So it's like this guy and his team, they study the fighter. And I mean, that doesn't mean that Teofimo doesn't have to correct some things moving forward. But in regards to this fight, because the blueprint's out on him, he's going to leap in and he's athletic and people don't want to engage like because of the speed and and the reflexes with him, like in any given moment, they just don't want to trade like that. So they do their homework, they circle away from his power hand, they try to make him look like a fool and score a jab here and there just to win away a decision. So that could be Teofimo's kryptonite against this type of style, facing those fighters that do their homework and fight like that. But yeah, it's the same thing right there. It's like the dude wasn't doing anything much, really, to be honest. He did the same thing with Lomachenko. That's why it was hard for Lomachenko.
Exactly, Gonzalo. That's what we've talked about. I don't know if you recall before the Haney fight where people were saying, "Oh, Ortiz made Lomachenko look bad. Haney's going to make him look worse." But if you look at Haney, at least you got to give him credit. He doesn't move excessively. He actually tries to stand his ground and counter or jab. But Ortiz, if you look at his fights against Adorno, against Albright, against Jermall Herring, he's actually quite aggressive. But he threw Lomachenko off for a loop because he was very, very defensive in that one too. kept constantly moving, and then he would force Lomachenko to jump in, and when he did jump in, Ortiz would then grab him, clinch him, and start punching him during the clinch, which appeared to frustrate Lomachenko. So yeah, man, this whole thing about Lomachenko did better against Ortiz than Lopez did against Ortiz. So maybe Lopez should watch some of that Lomachenko footage to see how to cut the ring off. By the way, fellas, the phone lines are open. Phone lines are open. Make sure to call in. Phone number is right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. So make sure to do that. All right, now, speaking of Teofimo Lopez, though, it was a very close fight, very lackluster. There's criticism for Lopez, too, for being unable to cut the ring off. Like Jimmy said, how can you have gone through the Martin fight and not made any adjustments on cutting off the ring? That's why some people are calling for Teofimo Lopez to get himself a real trainer, which is something that people have been saying for years now. That being said, I looked at Ring Magazine, and they've reshuffled their list, top 10 pound-for-pound list. They took out Teofimo Lopez, but they kept Gervonta Davis in the list. He's at number 9. Jesse Bam Rodriguez at number 10 enters the fray. I can appreciate Jesse Rodriguez being now a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter according to Ring Magazine, but what the hell is Gervonta Davis still doing there? Based on what? He's not a champion. He hasn't fought any of the top lightweights. Well, Ryan Garcia technically was a top lightweight. He was in the top 10. But the fact that this was all done in a catchweight, which isn't lightweight, and it was done with a rehydration clause, puts an asterisk next to the win. Guys, what's going on here? Why is Gervonta Davis? Is this the establishment's way of punishing Teofimo Lopez for claiming that they give too much praise to Afro-Anglo fighters? Or maybe this just proves his point.
I don't know, bro. I think it's outrageous that he gets so much credit and everyone knows. It's like the worst kept secret in boxing that this dude doesn't fight nobody that he should. You know how many cycles of champions have come and went through his weight class and he hasn't challenged any of them. You know, and like we were talking about earlier, he's gonna try to fight Conor Benn because he's not looking good without his eggs or whatever, his egg power.
His egg power.
So I don't know what's up. It's weird that everyone just accepts that they think this guy. Everyone says, yeah, he doesn't fight nobody, but you can see that he's actually really, 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 really no, you can't, bro. You can see that he's kind of not that good when he fights. You know what I mean? He has to pull it out the fire almost every fight against people that he hasn't been in no 50-50 fights.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand when you got guys like Yoka, Kenshiro Taraji, who have been fighting in the last 6 months. You got Jesse Rodriguez, who's in there in the list, but at which point do these guys in Ring Magazine and ESPN take a fighter off the list? Because Spence hasn't fought. Okay, yeah, they had him number 6, I think, pound for pound. But at which point do you, when everything else is going on, like I said, Taraji, Kenshiro Taraji, Yoka, Bam Rodriguez, you got these type of guys fighting for good opposition, and they still have Errol Spence. Like what I'm saying is, when there's that much going on in the boxing world, shouldn't you at least shorten the time span for a guy can stay in the pound for pound list without fighting, aka Errol Spence, who hasn't fought since July and has nothing in the schedule for the next couple of months? What do you guys think?
Well, yeah, because let's say you don't fight in 9 months to 1 year, but then there's other fighters fighting that are rising stars, champions. And let's say they sneak in 2 fights in between your 9 month to 1 year in activity, or maybe just one fight against another real good guy that is on the level of the fight that you had. Yeah, obviously it's like there's got to be a reshuffling of the pound for pound list, because if you're inactive, other fighters, there's nothing holding them back while you're sitting over here on the side.
Exactly.
Life goes on, right? So they need to be replaced.
Yeah, look at the amount of fighters. Like I said, you could even throw in an Emmanuel Navarrete in there, a guy that's been fighting consistently. But the thing is, Teofimo Lopez, though, he beat the man at 140 last summer. Then he has one fight right now against a tricky guy in Ortiz. Say what you want about the lackluster performance, but he beat him. Meanwhile, Errol Spence got completely dominated, decimated, destroyed, and he has nothing in the docket for as far as we know, and he's still there in the top 10. But they're pretty quick to throw Teofimo Lopez out of that list. I mean, I don't know, man. It's bizarre.
It's ridiculous, bro. And it's not like he got his ass whooped. He just had a close fight. So
Yeah,
exactly.
he got the win on paper. I mean, because a lot of times Americans, maybe I'm a little off on this, but he got the win. A win is a win. Freaking, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's many instances where, I've heard that before. Oh, he still got the win.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you could even say Tim Tszyu has a better argument of being top 10 pound for pound than Tank Davis. Just because of the activity and the fact that he's been fighting the top guys in his division. Whereas Tank Davis has done none of that. And he hasn't fought since April. Guys, we're in February right now. In a couple of months, it's going to be a year that he's been off. I mean, I suspect that within the next 2 months, they're probably going to announce something, I would hope, for Tank Davis. But this just goes to show you that I don't know who these people are on the ring panel. We got to find out. I think they got a bunch of women in there too, which is also, I think that's part of the problem there. But you can check out who votes for the ESPN pound for pound list. They do give you their who they voted for, and you see a bunch of people voting again. Pound for pound list over at ESPN. It's faulty too. They got Gervonta Davis number 8, even higher than the ESPN. And then you look at the names here. Check this out: Teddy Atlas, who picked Charlo to beat Canelo, by the way. He's got Davis number 6. Timothy Bradley has Davis number 10. Okay, good for him. He doesn't have, but even then, he shouldn't be in the top 10. Mike Compinger has Davis number 8. So these dudes, it seems like they just either they don't know boxing or they just follow the trends. Jimmy, we're talking about Teofimo Lopez being kicked out of the top 10 Ring Magazine pound for pound list, but Gervonta Davis is still there.
Was Teddy Atlas always such a cuck, bro?
Well, like Repit said, I don't know if you remember that show when we were talking about the Tyson situation when he put a gun to Tyson's head. By the way, Tyson was underage because supposedly he was doing, he didn't like how he was treating his niece or whatever, so Teddy Atlas put a gun to Mike Tyson's head. But like Repit said, and then what happened? He put a gun to his head and then he didn't do anything. So the guy, supposedly, you feel strong enough to put a gun to his head, but then you don't really do anything about it. And Repit's argument was that Teddy Atlas has always been a cuck.
Well, with the niece, what happened with the niece, it was more because of reputation. Listen, by the time he already got there, Mike already had a wicked reputation of being rough with girls. Like, it started at 16. This video, actually, I got it in my save. I'll get you the name. You could see him right when he first started becoming famous, and he was meeting with a bunch of young girls. It's just the way he was maneuvering with these chicks. You would not get away with it today, like grabbing at their legs and just like pulling them in, young girls. So he was always aggressive, and I think Atlas was going off that. Like, he didn't actually pull the trigger on his niece. It was just that, like Rolly Romero, you would not leave alone near any female in your family or someone you cared about's kids, ever. Just that dude. And Mike was that dude with young women. So I think it was a preemptive strike more than it was anything.
Well, that was Repit's argument that doesn't warrant pulling out a gun. Like, if you would have raped or molested his niece, okay, you pull the fucking trigger. But just because reputation, you don't pull out the gun at all. It's an either or type situation.
He knows Mike would have kicked his fucking ass if he walked to him. If he came at him straight, fist to fist. Even at 16, Mike would have fucking beat fucking Atlas like a rented mule.
Let me tell you something. If I feel like a 16-year-old, and I don't even know if he's already done it, but if I feel like he's gonna do something to my niece, a 16-year-old, and you need to pull a gun out of him, I don't care if it's Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Godzilla. Teddy Atlas is a bit of a cuck, and I gotta wonder if that's also the what's his name, the trainer, Cos D'Amato, who used to hypnotize Mike Tyson. That's another thing that we were talking about. Isn't it weird? He takes out this young black man, teenager from the streets, gets him to live in the middle of nowhere in the woods, hypnotizes him. I mean, I really shudder to think what else was going on in there. I hate to cast aspersions.
That's repetition. Too. Anybody likes being around kids too much? You don't got no kids of your own. You just like other people's kids and shit. Oh, they can come stay with me. Oh, his parents trying to run. I don't know, bro. Like, I'm sure we know. Jimmy knows better than me, bro. But I'm suspicious of anybody like that, bro.
Who's
What
building
the
a
hell's
house?
going on? That's not back.
Do you have the drummer for the Rolling Stones in the background? What the hell's going on? Keith Moon is in the
Well,
background.
Def Leppard, I think he's got one arm. But
Yeah.
no, well, the Catskill, right? I think it gets a bad reputation, or not a bad reputation, but the false reputation. It wasn't out in the middle of nowhere. Actually, the Catskills in the area he was living in, like the high school he went to, was pretty populated. Here's the thing. Mike was the first teenager that actually ever went and lived, and I think there was some nefarious. He knew if he got close to the kid, like he would, I don't know, maybe guide him. I don't know. But it wasn't sexual by then. Cuss was an old man. But here's the problem. There was other kids in the gym that he trained that he cut zero slack. Like, get out if you fucked up. Or he was about, like with Mike, to keep him in line in school, for instance, they would take boxing away from him. No, you can't train today, Mike. You fucking didn't, you did this in school. You told the teacher to fuck off, whatever. So Teddy would try to enforce that, and Cuss would say, the kid knows, he knows. Like, was always cutting slack for this kid. So from the beginning, he was already, never holding him to bay. So even that was the falling out between Atlas and Casamato, was over the treatment of Mike. He felt he treated Mike with fucking kid gloves. Mike could get away with anything at the gym. Like, there was supposed to be things that he was supposed to be held to, and he wasn't. And because Cuss saw what he had, the explosive speed, and the kid would stay up all night just devouring old videos of fucking fights. And so that's that whole Mike thing. But it was, I say Boondocks or Catskills, but in the area it was pretty populated. He went to the local high school and shit. Got in trouble there a lot too, and he's usually involved girls.
Kids still get molested in big cities. Doesn't have to be in the middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah,
and,
they do.
To the point of sobers is Teddy Atlas voting for Tank Davis he has him in his top 10 pound for pound list. And Jimmy, we were talking about that, about how at what point, because they still got Errol Spence too on the ring pound for pound list. Meanwhile, you got guys like Ioka, Taraji, Bam Rodriguez, Teofimo Lopez just recently won, even though he didn't look good, but he won. At what point did they say, you know what, when all these other guys are being active and we got one guy who used to be good but hasn't been active since the summer, like at what point do you kick him off the list?
It's pandering, Mr. BDA. It's the long and fucking short of it. Listen, they know. Go to Ring Magazine's Twitter page, and you see the comments. It's racist, Golden Boy, owned by Golden Boy. It's fucking biased. It's just, how that goes. So I think a lot of it, especially when it comes to Tank and Spence, they know how big their fan base is on Twitter and whatever. I think it's just pandering, literally. It's all about the numbers. Who's the most popular fighters in the PBC? Okay, we got to put a couple of those guys. We can't just have them excluded, because no matter how you slice it, Spence and Tank Davis should not be on anybody's pound for pound list, because it's objectively stupid. You know what I mean? And they'd be only wanting you to say, what else would they be? Like you just.
Jimmy? Did Jimmy cut off? Or is it me?
Jimmy. Yeah.
Jimmy, were you cut off again, man? God damn, that was a good explanation he was giving. All right, well, hey, fellas, the phone lines are open. Don't forget to hit the like, too. Hit the like. Hit that like. That's right. But all of that to say that, man, these pound for pound lists, man, again, it's true, though. Jimmy is, because these guys over at Ring Magazine, they like to say that, we don't. Oh, Jimmy, we're back, I think. Jimmy, are you still there? Jimmy?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I'm getting dropped like a fucking bad habit over here.
All right, but you were saying that they do have to pander to the...
Tank Davis.
Yeah, they pander to a certain fan base. You know what I mean? They know the PBC they have to keep some of those fighters on their list. I'm sure that's what they're thinking of. If we have it all full of Mexican Golden Boy and Top Rank, they're going to say we're biased. If we have too many Golden Boys, you're owned by Oscar. So they're always trying to weave that. But there's nobody can sit there. You can't have, I'd put it out there. Anybody who thinks they deserve to be on the pound list, call the show and explain how. Explain what they did to deserve to be there. You know what I mean? And you can't. And it's there for one reason. It's pandering. And the Mexican Americans just get the fucking short, and Mexican fighters, and the Mexican American fighters get the short end of it. Ben Rodriguez should be rated higher than fucking Tank, without a doubt. He has fought far better competition and beat them. You know, I mean, Tank hasn't fought a legitimate world champion in over 7 years.
And he's fought at higher weight classes. And he's fought at Ben Rodriguez has fought at higher weight classes and fought the best there.
Of course.
He's not putting in some catch weight, dehydration clause. Hey, here's the other thing I wanted to bring up while you were gone, Jimmy. Shakur Stevenson, obviously, as expected, now he's saying he's going to return. But he didn't say, I'm coming back. He just said, I'm going to do what I always do, fight. So he's almost as if he wants people to forget that he retired. But he also said that he's not fighting abroad because of the A-side advantages that a fighter has, the hometown advantages a fighter can have abroad. So in other words, he's sort of admitting that he wants to stay at home so he can have his advantages. What do you make of that, Jimmy?
Of course. And I think, it's a Jim Prince managed fighter, and they always make bad decisions. Look at Andre Ward, a bunch of people. They're always like fucking holding out. There is no chance on God's green earth is anybody going to pay him guaranteed $15 million for 5 fights. That's $3 million per. Think about this. Prior to the Spence fight, Crawford, the highest guaranteed, not the highest purse, what they announced. But again, that's always based off 500 or more pay-per-view sales. Mm-hmm. So the only ones he actually saw back-end money on was Crawford too. But the highest guaranteed purse prior to Crawford was $2 million. And that's Spence. The highest guaranteed purse Davis ever got was against Garcia, which I believe was $3 million. So who's going to think the PBC is going to give fucking Shakur? They don't have it to begin with, but they're not going to do it. Matchroom isn't going to do it. So what the fuck is he thinking?
Yeah, I mean, think about it for the people out there. Like, look back at Shakur Stevenson's career. One thing you can say, he has fought steadily, and he has fought top opposition. When he was coming up at 130, he did fight Conceição, even though he had his A-side advantage of blowing the weight and hitting Conceição 50 times in the balls. But he fought Conceição at least, and Valdez. At the PBC, these guys fight once. I mean, like I said, Tank Davis hasn't fought since last April. In 2 months, it's going to be 12 months that he's been out. So, yeah, man, if you want to be consistent, Shakur Stevenson, stay with somebody that can actually provide you fights and who have a stable network. Because otherwise, it ain't going to... Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, stable network. Look what's going on with Boots Ennis right now. He's suing Cameron Duncan's widow, which is sweet harm, and the guy dies a month ago, and he files $1 million lawsuit against his widow. But no, he says he's owed at least $1 million because when he signed a contract, remember I've mentioned on the show many times, when you sign a fight deal, it's usually predicated on X amount of fights per year. That's usually how you sign your deals. And he did that with Showtime and Cameron Duncan because the PBC doesn't do that. Al Heyman doesn't offer you numbers of fights. Top Rank does. Every other promoter does. Anyways, every year since he's first fought on Showtime, he has supposed to fought a minimum of 3 times a year. And he's fought last year once. He hasn't fought yet this year. And once a couple of times over this time period. So he's owed, in his mind, all these fights, and he's rounding it to $1 million. So that's what he's suing. And obviously that relationship's now dead in the water. So he's not going to, because they have no experience. His wife has taken over the business. They're saying she has no experience. So where's he going to go? Because he's going to expect that same kind of deal he had with Showtime. Certain amount of fights, certain amount of dollars. They're not going to offer it. I mean, his fucking career, man, it's just been fucking got its dick kicked in. It's crazy.
Just to clarify, just to clarify that he needs to stay active, man, at his age, and especially after his last fight. If you're his manager or whatever, you get him to fight immediately and you match him up with someone that he's going to be able to tee off of so that people can forget about the Cruz fight, because otherwise, the more he stays inactive, in the fans' eyes, the last thing they remember is him hopping around the ring like a rabbit against Cruz. Hey, by the way, fellas, we got a couple of phone calls here. The phone lines are open. Don't forget to hit the like. Let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to, hold on a second. Let's go to 713. 713, you're on the air. 713, what's on your mind?
Yeah, this is about me discussing the pound for pound slogan.
Right.
I believe pound for pound lost its luster like over 10 years ago. As far as the Ring magazine, the ESPN, WBO, IBF, even the UFC, they all have their own rankings. Cause nobody really claims pound for pound anymore, unless you like Charlo, where he cleaned out the whole division, and Inoue cleaned out the whole division. Canelo, and the heavyweight, same thing. But they'll give a contender lightweight. I noticed even if they rank my version a 10 or a 9, and he move up to junior welter, and he probably won't be the top 5. He's already pound for pound. I just don't see it. I don't agree with no one's rankings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, even they do the same thing at the UFC. They do it when they talk when they're all the UFC fighters that are hosting the event. They'll throw this fighter as a pound for pound. They throw that fighter as a pound for pound. So to me, that thing lost his luster really. And then if you're Errol Spence, right? You're almost top dog, but you're not. You became like you and Crawford and Spence went at it. Crawford won, but to me, Spence how far you bring him down, like all the way to 10, 9, 3, 4, 5. No one really has a criteria of when they lose, how far to bring him down. I mean, there's no set rule. But as far as pandering, everybody panders. Like the WBC, they can't get rid of Charlo as a middleweight champ. I don't see how. But he's been inactive for 2 years, and he came back and beat Benavidez. He's nowhere near being a middleweight, much less a super middleweight. But it's just I believe pandering is just for the fans. That's how it is. And then Ortiz, he put an awful performance against Teofimo. I think Teofimo's still the best 140-pound out there. Everybody knows across the board that Tank is not fighting the best of the best. Everybody knows. Even his fans know. But, yeah, that's my take on it, man. I enjoy your show. Take it easy. Bye.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your call. Yeah, great points right there, man. Really appreciate it. Hey, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. And yeah, man, this whole pound for pound thing, I mean, it's losing its luster when people, I mean, Jimmy said that he would like to hear the ring panelists break down their list and why they chose these guys. We've had pound for pound shows here after when there's a significant shakeup going on, and we ask people to call in and give us their list. They actually do a very good job of doing it. So I'm guessing that people who write about boxing for a living would manage to do the same. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 510. 510, you're on the air. 510, what's in your mind?
Hey, BDA, let me ask you a question. Are you going to let me talk?
Depends, man. Who is this?
Let me ask you a question. You know who the fuck this is?
I'm not Sidekick. Who is this? Let's go.
Sidekick? Who the fuck is Sidekick?
Spoon juice, right?
Yeah, you going to let me talk or what? Are you guys going to interrupt and shit, or are you guys not going to let me talk and say anything? Whether or not you agree with my opinion,
oh my God!
I feel like I have
could you please make your
right?
Could you please make your point? Yeah, well, please make your point because you're just whining at this point, which is boring.
Come on, booty loose.
Come on, dude. Nah, I'm just saying because last time around when I tried to call in, even on that the Discord shit, I got interrupted. I never said anything. So I'm just pointing it out.
Trying to play the victim. Booty loose. You're trying to play the fucking victim
Canelo
again.
dick riding agenda. I understand that's what it is. So.
Yeah, and I understand you're playing victim, but go ahead.
You said what? I couldn't hear you. You cut out.
No, conveniently, I always cut out when I say something back against him, and that's why he gives him time to regroup.
Dude, you do cut out. I'm not saying it because I want fucking attention. I'm like
my audio is sensational.
I'm not him.
My audio is sensational. Don't insult my audio. It's fantastic. But go ahead.
Yeah, you have Mexican quality audio. Anyway, it's not your fault. I just wanted to say this. I think Canelo's next fight is probably going to be at this point, he might as well just fight somebody's grandma or something. Y'all are still going to give him passes. I think, he's going to take the easy route. That's all I really want to say about that. I'm not surprised if he fights Munguia that's a dog shit fight. If he fights Charlo, that's a dog shit fight. If he fights even Benavidez, I think that's also a dog shit fight. People want to see that fight. I mean, to me, I think at this point in time, he's not going to end up fighting Beterbiev or Bivol again because he's going to take the bitch way out. I mean, I get, it is what it is. People are going to, y'all are going to give him passes. Y'all are never going to criticize him for this end of the career. I think y'all made it pretty clear beforehand that, at this point he's done enough to satisfy like, your, whatever the fuck you like watching him for. So, it is what it is. Yeah, I can't hear that shit, man. I don't know what that is.
The phone's checking out on me, dude. Are you saying you're going to denounce every fight unless he goes up to his 8th or 7th weight class? He started at 140, bro. He's 5'8". You're saying that everything's a duck unless he goes to light heavyweight? Come on, dude.
Nah, everything's a look, man. But look, Jimmy,
the quintessential Canelo hater right here, bro.
I respect your opinion. What was that?
The quintessential Canelo hater right here, booty loose.
What was that, Jimmy? Say again. I couldn't hear you.
Jimmy's saying that you don't really believe that Canelo, unless he moves up to light heavyweight, everything else is a dunk.
It's not about moving up. It's just the fact that look at the fighters that he's fighting, the quality of the fighters. I'm not going to change my tune. I've been saying this shit since the very beginning when I called 3 years ago. Beterbiev is the only guy that, first of all, I would love to see him get knocked out dead, right? Because that's the only guy that'll be able to do it. But then if he doesn't want to fight Bivol again, so that's the only fights that are real fights. Those are the only fights that are challenging fights. You think fighting Crawford 3 fights up or 3 weights up, that's a crazy, insane accomplishment? I mean, I feel like he has the skills to beat him. So
notice that every time somebody says, notice that every time you talk to somebody like who hates a particular fighter, and they always say, I don't hate him, but then eventually it comes out like, I want to see him get knocked the fuck out. He has to move up to light heavyweight to get knocked out by a monster in Beterbiev, because evidently
it's not even that. Those again, let me repeat myself again. I know you dislike me repeating myself, right? But let me just say what I just said again. That's the only guy those are the only 2 guys that'll give him a challenge in terms of the particular skill set that they have, right?
But you've said before Canelo's overrated. But you said before.
They happen to be bigger than him, so it is what it is. You've said before. You've said before.
You've said before. You've said before. You've said before. You've said before. You've said before Canelo's overrated. Now the only guys that can beat him are guys at a light heavyweight, a monster like Beterbiev and a master like Bivol.
You're all over the place. The BDA. Oh my God, BDA. This generation of fucking fighters are dog shit, though. The quality of fight. Do you not agree with that? Is that not objectively what you said? I mean, I've heard you.
Why do you watch dog shit, bro? That's what you think.
The quality of fighters in this era are dog shit.
No, I said that about the heavyweight. I've said that the heavyweight.
That's why this guy is good. That's why this guy is good. That's why people think of him as he's like the shit.
Hold on, let him finish, and then we'll. Okay, I've said that the heavyweight division has been lackluster. I didn't say that whole boxing has been overrated or lackluster or that the past was better than that. There's plenty.
You've heard me. Is dog
interrupt. Go ahead. Interrupt. It's your call.
No, you go. You go ahead. It's your show. Go ahead. You're gonna interrupt me, but go ahead. It's your show.
You just interrupted me. You go.
Finish your statement.
There you go.
No, you go.
Booty Juice is in his feelings. He doesn't want to. Okay, we got it. You hate Canelo. He can never do enough for you.
Nobody's in their fucking feelings, dog.
What else?
He's gonna get knocked out.
I'm just pointing out what the fuck it is.
Yeah,
I want to see him get knocked out by a light heavyweight.
All right, well, listen. Canelo triggers you. We got that a couple of hours ago, or a couple of years ago. When you, what else? What else you got to say here? Let's go.
He doesn't trick. Look, man, I think you guys misinterpret everything that I say. I'm just holding him to a certain standard. I do this with any other boxer. I criticize Teofimo. I criticized Teofimo, his last performance. I said I didn't like it. I thought it could be better. All the things that you guys pointed out, I absolutely agree with, right? So how come you don't bitch and complain and cry about it when I talk about Teofimo or any other fucking boxer that I particularly like?
We're always getting it wrong, apparently.
Complain about that.
We're always getting it wrong, apparently. Booty Juice always he says everything. We get it wrong all the time. We always misinterpret everything. Booty Juice is the one that the world's against Booty Juice. Playing victim. Like maybe Butcher had it right. Butcher had it right from the beginning. And by the way, did you catch yourself interrupting me again? Meanwhile, I haven't interrupted you. But anyway, listen, Booty Juice, we got to move on. It was another entertaining call from your end, as always. I hope you keep calling, though, because this is entertaining.
Yeah.
And, you know what? Listen, sometimes you make good points. So you got to keep calling so eventually we get to some of those good points.
Don't lie. BDA, look, don't lie to your audience, dude. You know, these people don't give a fuck about what I say or not. I call in because, once again, like I said, Canelo is held to a different standard. We understand that he's the face of boxing currently. De facto, that's what you bitches say, right? I hear this shit all the time. And when I point out the only two viable fighters right now that have a good enough skill set to beat him are Bivol, and actually Morrell, Bivol, and Beterbiev. That's all I've been pointing out, and I kept it pretty consistent from day one. So, but, you know, once again, like, I'll just end with this. You know, fuck you, fuck Canelo, fuck the Canelitas. Don't sit in here and complain and cry about, like, you know, why the currently boxing is if you don't hold the particular fighters at a certain standard. That's all. I'm just saying with that.
Talking, bro.
It is what it is. And shout out to Jimmy, shout out to Recognize, shout out to Boxing Chief.
That's what I like about Booty Juice. That's what I like about Booty Juice when he goes, I'll just say this, and if you don't stop him, he'll just go and go and go. He forgets that he just said, I'll be brief about it. And he just keeps on going, droning on. We're going to call you Drone Juice because you're a drone. You never stop. Anyway, okay, so you heard that from Booty Juice. Boxing is overrated. Boxing is shit. But Morrell, a guy who has under 20 fights, he hasn't really fought anybody. Morrell, you're interrupting me again. You're interrupting me again. You're interrupting me again.
Look, I'm gonna have to interrupt you, but you keep on hearing. You hear what you want to hear, but I keep on trying to tell you this area of boxing is dog shit. You can't sit here and tell me these guys are. You don't listen. In your opinion,
Booty Juice. I'm gonna have to mute you because you're insufferable today. You're particularly insufferable today. I say something, and you're not listening. You're hearing what I'm saying. So as soon as you hear something you dislike, you jump in and interrupt me. So you don't get me. You don't let me get to my point.
Because
you said boxing. You said boxing. Okay, I'm gonna have to mute you. I'm gonna have to mute you. He said that boxing sucks. Nobody can really threaten Canelo unless he moves up to light heavyweight. And then he brings up Morrell, a guy with under 20 fights, hasn't fought anybody of note, but that guy can beat Canelo. You see the disconnect that I'm talking about here, fellas? There's a certain lack of logic here that is particularly grating to hear. All right, listen,
there isn't a lack of logic. I'm just being honest. I'm being straightforward. That's what it is.
Yeah, well, you can be honest because you can be honest, but illogical at the same time, because honesty is what you feel or what you think is real, but it can still be illogical. All right, listen, Booty Juice, we got to move on. We're on our phone call here.
But all right, I'm going to just send one that, yeah, fuck Canelo. I said what I had to say. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, that was the always entertaining Booty Juice. I mean, this is what we need, man. We need to liven the night up. We need disagreement. All right, let's go to our phone call. Let's go to 214. 214, you're in the air. 214, what's on your mind?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, 214. Go ahead.
Man, it's inevitable. It's D-Block, D-Town, D-City, D-Ville, Baltimore. Facts! You know, BDA, you know, I like how your people call in and they try to act all tough. And you know, Canelitos, all the Canelitos, they could suck my, you know, fuck all of y'all, and fuck you, BDA. Let me tell you something, man. When you know how to call right. When you come to the show, come with facts. When you come to hate, come with facts. Don't come with no bullshit. Fuck what you think, man. Ain't nobody give a fuck what you think. Little ass, squeaky ass voice. Ain't nobody give a fuck about what you think. If you don't like the show, get the fuck out. Why you keep calling? Because you want to hear yourself. Shut the fuck up. Ain't nobody trying to hear you. Nigga, who the fuck are you? You're not him. Are you him? You're not him. You're not. And for Canelo Alvarez, you say, oh, this generation's motherfuckers are pussies. Well, guess what? He ain't this generation. He's generation from back in the day. He took on Floyd Mayweather. He took on Trout. He took on Lara. He took it on Jacob. He took on Smith. Come on, man. Get the fuck out of here with that shit, bro. You talking about the only people that could beat him are people who Benavidez. Get the fuck out. They're fighting for undisputed, motherfucker. Let them do their own legacy. We already know Canelo went up and he couldn't accomplish it. It's over. Get over yourself. Were you at Texas Stadium? Were you somewhere close where Canelo was? And you were trying to get that signature? And he said, fuck you? Because like you said, is that why you so bruised in the ass? Is that why your nickname is that? Shut that soft shit up. When you come to the show, come with real shit. What you got to say, BDA?
What I gotta say is that this is interesting, man. We got two contrasting calls back to back. We don't usually get them that way, but it's good that you address that issue. And look, listen, Canelo's not above reproach. If he takes that Charlo fight, look, that's a bad fight. Even though, again, some people were saying that Canelo was avoiding Charlo, but nevertheless, to say that this generation stinks and that Canelo has to go, because he said it before. He says Canelo stinks, but then he says, but he's got to move up to light heavyweight. And then he sort of changed his tune a little bit, and he said David Morrell. He had to add in David Morrell, which is, again, he's a good fighter, but how good can you actually David call him? How good is he actually? How can we gauge how good he is if he hasn't fought anybody? So, I don't know. He's all over the place.
BDA, what is Morrell's record? What is his record?
I don't know. What is it, 12-0?
No. Isn't he like 10-0? 10-0? 11-0?
Under 10 fights? Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he had at least 10 fights.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 11-0. I think last year, what was it, 9-0, 10. Okay, so he said he called you 3 years ago. He's been consistent. So he was consistent with Morrell 3 years ago. What was Morrell's record 3 years ago? 2-0? Was it 2-0? 3 years ago?
Well, he turned pro in 29.
He's been consistent.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
I don't know.
Look, man, at the end of the day, we got to go like this. We, as Canelo fans and boxing fans, I got nothing but respect. I'm more of a boxing fan than what you say. I'm here for boxing. I want to see the best fight the best. I see a resume with Canelo Alvarez. He's already close to running, his career is about to wind down. Let's give respect to that. It's facts. So if he's giving you all these fights with his resume, first ballot Hall of Fame, and then we talking about you want to mix him in with every other generation that's here, the new generation. You want to compare him to Tank Davis, to Keith Thurman, to Errol Spence, to all these other fighters. You cannot compare him. He is the face of boxing. He says, this is what he said. He said, well, he's in a higher standard. Then shut the fuck up if he's in a higher standard. He's giving you what he's giving you. He's going to take out the trash, which is Charlo, talking all that shit 5-7 years ago. He's going to give it trash. It's just all like right. You're trash, motherfucker. You're calling everybody a fucker. You're calling BDA a fuck you and all this shit. Man, fuck you, nigga. You ain't the shit. You're not him. D-Block, D-Town, D-City, D-Ville. Baltimore, stand up.
And what about the facts? Yeah, what about the facts, D-Town? D-Block, yeah, there you go. All right. Shout out to you, D-Block. Thank you for calling in, and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
Great call.
Right. Hey, he brought the energy. Boudilus brought up the energy too. Like Bucho said, it was little bit of the whining energy, victim mentality, but it was still a good call from both guys. So shout out to both of those guys for calling in. Don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's go to another phone call. Let's go to 619. 619, you're on the air. 619, what's on your mind?
Is this Rey Mysterio?
Yeah, what's up, guys? It's Jose.
Oh, Jose, what's up, man?
What's up, man? I'm driving, man. No, I was hearing the replay, but I just fast forwarded. I was behind. I was listening to when you guys were talking about the Los Santos and about running. Here's my take on this. I think all these fight fans nowadays, they want to be all technical and say, Ortiz won because he was boxing, they want to be all like supposedly all technically saying that the boxer wins, this and that. But at the same time, I think the same still holds true to this day, that you got to take it from the champion. If these guys want to be all technical and say, all boxing purists, then the same still holds true that has always been held, that you got to take it from the champion. These guys go in as challengers, like Ortiz, and they just want to do the bare minimum, expecting they're going to get a decision. That's kind of crazy, man, that they would think like that they're expecting to do a perfect game plan where they're not going to get hit and expecting to get the decision, And people say, okay, well, Ortiz won because Shakur won. Well, no, they just gave it to Shakur. They just gave it to Shakur because that fight wasn't even clear either. They just gave it to the guy with the name. You know, of course, Teo has the name, but I think that fight was a lot closer, and I don't think Ortiz did enough to take it from the champion. So I think no matter these guys try to invalidate that like as being like an antiquated way of thinking, it's not. I think it still holds true to this day as it should, because these guys want to be all boxing purists and say, "Oh, this guy won because he's touching and you know he's boxing." You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, that's an interesting point of view. I mean, I guess the counter argument to that would be that there's no actual rule that says you have to take it from the champion to win. You just have to abide by the rules of the scoring criteria to get the win. But I get what you're saying, though, because you can't. I mean, the judges in Las Vegas.
I don't know. I think there's something to that, man. I think there's something to that. The champion. You have to take it from the champ. You got to beat him. You can't make it a close, because if it's a close fight where it can go either way, I mean, the champ is going to retain his titles. You know, you have to take it from the champ.
I'll put it to you this way, Jose.
Him. You can't beat him.
Jose, I'll put it to you this way. To your point. Do you think Ortiz could have been a little more aggressive? Not fight like fucking Arturo Gatti, but just be a little more aggressive. You think he could have done that?
Well, I really think he didn't have the capabilities. I think he fought scared. He did it just like Shakur, man. If they could have, they would have. Is my thing. Exactly. If they would have risked more, that means that they're risking getting knocked out, and that's what they don't want to do. Exactly. They want to do the bare minimum. They don't want to risk. They don't want to risk winning, but at the same time they expect getting the win. It doesn't make sense, and that's where that comes in. That you got to take it from that you got to do. Yes, you have to do a little bit more. If he would have done a little bit more, you can win a narrow decision. You can win, but you can't expect not to do nothing or just to be the same or have it be like a draw. You got to do a little more than that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. Win. Oh shit, is a connection? Okay, yeah, that's why I'm agreeing with you, because if Ortiz could have done a little something more, he could have stood his ground a little bit more. Not slugging it out, but he could have done more. But like you said, to your point, he didn't want to because he was fighting a power puncher. He left it left the money in the table.
Oh, I forgot to bring something up. And Ortiz, man, he at the way he was staring at Teofimo and the weigh-in, it looks like he wanted to take his soul, you know. And he was saying how he was gonna knock him out, and eventually Bradley snitched on him, and he said, "Oh, we were talking to him in the fighter meeting, and he didn't want to give away his game plan." Well, he did the opposite of what he said he was gonna do. He tried to like keep it a secret and just run. Because
exactly.
and his name is a technician, right? His name is a technician. So I mean, he sure did fool everybody, because everybody thought he was gonna go in there and try to like exchange, much like he did with Lomachenko, and go for the knockout. But no, he played the perfect in his eyes. He tried to play the perfect game plan, and that's where the problem lies. He played it too safe. He knew what he was doing. And it didn't work for him. Like I said, why do these guys expect to get the win when they come up with that game? He had plenty of time to think of a better way of he played it too safe, man. That was his game plan.
Absolutely.
And also, man, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw Shakur come up on the screen. Oh man, Ortiz is winning this fight. I couldn't believe my fucking eyes, man. That guy is the last guy who should be fucking commenting. You see his little comment that came up?
Yeah, that dude.
As the fight was live, they're we got Shakur chiming in. I couldn't believe it, man. That was crazy. That guy should just fucking stay quiet, dude.
Yeah, no, but he should be right now. He should be living in the woods with no phone, no internet, because every time he opens his mouth, he just digs himself further into a hole. All right, Jose, we got to move on. We got other phone calls here, but excellent points. And thank you for your call, and call back next time, all right, man?
All right.
Take it easy, man. Yeah, we also started to lose he started. It sounds like he's in a faraway place too. Let's go to another phone call, and don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. 210, you're on the air. 210. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up? Southpaw, lefty. In the house.
Oh, Southpaw. What's up, man?
No, I'm not sure, man. I just got on. Is there any update on Canelo's big announcement?
No, he just said he's re-signing with TV Azteca over there in the Mexican side. Everything's staying free on the Mexican side. And his next opponent will be a gringo.
Oh, man. Well, I kind of figured, man. But, it's crazy because everybody's speculating and making guesses, shots in the dark on Twitter. You got Rick Glaser out there doing that. You got Michael Benson out there saying he's going to fight Charlo. I hope he doesn't fight Charlo, man, but I can see it happening because Al Heyman is going to try to hook up his most loyal fighters, his boys. He tried to do it with Spence. He wanted to get Spence that Canelo fight. He got the other Charlo, the Canelo fight. He takes care of guys, but he only takes care of like a handful of them, like 5 or 6, and all the rest of them kind of go to waste. You kind of see that?
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, I mean that you can't sell that fight, man. I don't know what they're thinking, but I'm also seeing things like he's gonna be in boxing for like 5 years. Did that come out?
What? I didn't see that.
He said he's gonna be in boxing for 5 more years.
I didn't hear that.
He's got like 5 to 7 more years left.
There's all kinds of rumors out there. I honestly, man, I don't like Canelo. I know y'all love him, but I respect him. But I just hope he just retires, man, because. And I mean, not on his fault, but all these guys they play the waiting game. They avoid each other. They're all waiting on the big ticket. And then with all these networks and these promoters, they're all out of money. They're all looking for the next, big thing because Canelo's the last HBO era star. Everybody's trying to chomp at him at the bit, man. So we need a reset, man. I don't know, man. I just hope he retires. But I mean, what else can he prove? He's already done everything. So
I mean, he wants to make.
Hoping to chime in.
When you're in his position and the guy makes beaucoup money every time he fights, I mean, he's just loading the coffers at this point. But the other thing is, I don't love Canelo. I don't love the guy. I like him as a fighter because he makes the right moves. As soon as somebody stops making the right moves as a boxer and doesn't give me what I want as a consumer, I start complaining. And I think that's the way everybody should do it.
Yeah, I'm just joking. I know. Yeah, I know. I just joking with you. I know a couple of guys in the panel love him. Not you, BDA. But no, I don't know, man. Like I've we pretty much grew up watching Canelo these last 10 years almost. So it's about time, man. I think he made a ton of money. He's gonna have money coming in for the rest of his life. So I don't know. I'm just trying to see what's gonna go on. I'm hearing that PBC is gonna end up not having an event and all this crazy stuff. So I'm just kind of just waiting on see what happens this week, man. The boxing's like a bad novella, soap opera. It's just there's always some shit going on. I'll give Ryan Garcia props. He's stepping up. I don't think he's gonna win. It's just craziness, man. Craziness. It's just got a lot to talk about, man.
Well, that's good for everybody all around. I like the drama. Anything else you want to say, Southpaw, before we move on?
No, I'm just kind of listening in. I was kind of seeing if y'all had any updates. I'm trying to dual task here at work and listen in at the same time. But I appreciate the show, man. I'm gonna be listening in for the rest of the show for sure.
All right, call back next time. Thank you for your call.
BDA, curious. Did you happen to notice whether or not that Haney Garcia fight is on pay-per-view? I know the poster that the Zone put out as of yesterday when they first announced it, it didn't say pay-per-view. I'd be shocked if it isn't, but at this point, the way they're doing things. But if it isn't, well, damn, that's awesome. I mean, let's be honest. Why should he be on a pay-per-view? The fucking
exactly.
He's serious. Why should either one of them be on a pay-per-view? But if they don't, that's good. I mean, the fact that Benavidez, Bivol not a pay-per-view. I mean, how can the PBC think they're going to compete? Putting on Thurman fucking Zoo on a pay-per-view when we're getting Benavidez, Bivol, and even Haney Garcia. King Rye is going to put some numbers up, but.
And how is that going to look for Amazon too? when they're trying to get money, they're trying to squeeze money something out of Amazon, and then they're gonna come in with horrible pay-per-view numbers. I mean, it's just a bad look all around. Let me just get to another phone call.
With Thurman running his mouth.
Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit that like. It really helps us out. Let's go to a phone call here, and I want to get back to some of those things there. But because you mentioned Haney Garcia, 510, you on the air. 510, you on the air. What's on your mind? Oh boy.
Let me just call in and say this real quick. D-Block is a cloud chasing bitch. He's just trying to promote his channel. He's another Canelita. So if you guys issues with what the fuck I'm saying, next time call in and just, express your opinions, because regardless whether or not, he calls in or if he decides to, donate to the channel, maybe this motherfucker decides to donate to charity.
Don't make it too long, bro. You said what you had to say, bro. Go ahead and go, dog. Let's not do this shit again, man. Go ahead.
Go ahead. What you're saying, man, so I'm going to just talk over you, yeah. But yeah, D-Block is another fucking caucasian piece of shit bitch, and he's just going to keep that same fucking pussy cuss energy, calling in about Canelo's the greatest of all time, when he's not. It's been proven that Canelo's not the greatest of all time. He's not the greatest Mexican legend of all time. Julio Cesar Chavez is, and that's just what it is. So I just wanted to end with that.
Never Sobers is accusing you of, you say you spoke your piece, but then you got to say more. Which brings us back to what I was saying about the droning on.
This fucking bitch keeps cutting me off. Do you not hear this fucking guy? I'm clearly in mid-sentence, right?
He wants to have the last word. He wants to have the last word.
You guys
complain all the
fucking time on Discord that nobody lets you talk, blah, blah, blah. And every single time I'm fucking saying something, you have to cut me off mid-sentence. What the fuck is that about?
She was very badly raped,
I'm not even asking.
Hey, man,
I was saying, like,
no one cut you off, bro. You cut everyone else off. Don't be cutting you off.
I'm not a fucking
Everyone lets you
Nobody's cutting you off, man.
Just be consistent. Just be fair. There's rules in the fucking setting. There's rules of etiquette when speaking. So just be fucking fair about it.
Bullshit, motherfucker!
People saying you're crying. You sound like you're fucking crying at this point.
Nobody's fucking crying. Nobody's fucking crying.
Well, that's what people are saying. But listen.
That's all it is, though. Hey, but that's all it is, though. That's all I'm pointing out. Just be fucking fair about it. Whether or not you like my opinion, be fair about it. Every single fucking time I call in, people always have to interrupt, especially on Discord. But it's what it is. But how is it that other people can complain?
Especially on Discord,
everyone's talking that shit, and I can't complain and I can't say, hey, disrespect my time. It's not like I go on and talk about for 3 fucking hours about a particular thing. I've only
you actually
got,
do,
man. A minute, 30 seconds.
Booty juice. All kidding aside, you do go. Booty juice. All kidding aside, you do tend to go on. I mean, I like it when you call, but sometimes you got to know how to work it out a little bit. And sometimes less is more.
Nah, fuck
like they say.
Nah, but other people call in and they talk for fucking 15 minutes, dude.
No, they
so
don't.
What the fuck is that about? Look, I'm just saying, be fair about it. Minutes. I don't care about. I don't give a fuck whether or not you like me or not. I don't care about that. Just be fair about it. If I'm going to call in and express my opinion.
How many times do you say that within one call, bro? You don't care how anybody feels about you.
D-Block is a cloud-chasing bitch, though. He's just trying to promote his fucking channel. That's what he comes out with his little gay fucking slogan. That's all it is. Fuck him and fuck Houston, too. That motherfucker should take his meds, and that's all I got to say. All right, I'm going to hang up. I'm going to have my fuck Canelo, all right.
And he's outside, by the way, doing this. So he's outside thinking about this show. And by the way, if D-Block wants to promote his show, I got no problem. I got no problem letting people promote their show. There's plenty of viewers to go around. Spread the love. Why not? Man, hopefully he does.
He's making eye contact with his neighbor while he's doing this rant.
That'd be creepy, man. No, but yeah, I mean, listen, he says he doesn't care, but then he won't stop talking about how he doesn't care. That's usually an indication you care. And there's nothing wrong with caring. Look, we're all human beings. We have emotions. I hate when people go, oh, you're being emotional. Well, guess what? We're human beings. But when you say you don't care and you keep droning on, that's my thing, the droning, because it's a show and I have to cut you off at some point. Sorry, man. If you want to take it personal, it is what it is, but we can't let you drone on and on and on about how you're enemy number one, public enemy number one. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 562. 562, you're on the air. 562, what's on your mind?
Yo, what's up, Mr. BDA? Good show. Got some good action tonight. Some people getting very passionate. You know, Canelo brings the crazies out.
You know it, Frank.
Yeah, man,
you
Canelo,
know it, man.
I mean, yeah, but it's hard to hear you sometimes. Yeah, man, Canelo's still the king, man. You know, his news bites are big news around the boxing world, you know. As far as choice of opponents, I'm here for all of it, whether it's Crawford, whether it's Munguia, Benavidez versus Charlo. I mean, they're all going to be quality opponents, you know. They're going to be top-level accomplished fighters. He's not going to fight low-level opposition. You know what I mean?
I got you, man. Yeah, but I mean,
and
yeah, go ahead.
And then go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And I was just gonna. Yeah, you guys have mentioned a lot. I just wanted to kind of touch on a couple things, if you don't mind. And then the Teo Ortiz fiasco. I mean, look, Teo didn't look great, but I mean, let's be honest. Ortiz stunk the joint out. He was running. It was an awful night of boxing, just like with Shakira, and it kills the sport. You know what I mean? I mean, the fans are booing. There's a reason they're booing. You know, people spend hundreds and thousands of dollars to watch those fights, and to go in there and see that. That's just not what you want to see. You know what I mean? And to the people that are crying Ortiz got robbed, here's the thing. Who's been crying for a Sandor Martin fight? I mean, has anybody said that guy's name since it happened?
I think I've been the only one mentioning Sandor Martin. Everyone else kind of forgot about him.
Yeah, and same thing's going to happen to the Ortiz guy. So, you know, it's fake outrage. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody wants to see these guys again. He'll be back. Hopefully it's a good fight, but I think people still want to see him. You know what I mean? And here's the thing about boxing. You know, if you want to make money in the sport, you need to either have knockouts like Stank Davis, Canelo, fighters like that, or the past Pacquiao. That's what people want to see. Or you need to have an exciting style like Mayorga, Arturo Gatti. You know, those guys made a ton of money. We're always B side to the A side because they make good fights. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what people want to see. And then this is probably the last thing. Well, you had two things. Am I still good?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. The Shakira thing, not going overseas. You know, I remember there was a guy, Winky Wright. You know, he had to go overseas because people wouldn't give him a shot. There's been a ton of fighters, American fighters, that would have to go overseas to get their title shot. That was just kind of a rite of passage. And then we just have Venado Lopez. He had to go over, and that's why we love our fighters. You know what I mean? Our fighters are built different. You know, talking about styles and traveling, look at what that Ramirez kid did to Robisi. That's how you win a championship. You go over there and you kick the guy's ass, not just running bullshit. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right there, Frank Bay. You're absolutely right, man. It's too many. Yeah.
And then let me just unpack the pound for pound thing. It is subjective and it's commercial, but the Spence being on there is just an abuse of power, man. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You know, it should be based on something like, for me, it's accomplishments, and then you know, exciting action. Like, is he active? Does he give us what we want? And Nui, yes. Crawford, not so much because of late. But thanks, man. Appreciate it. You can roast me off air. But thank you.
All right, Frank Bay. Thank you for your call, man. And see, that's a well-structured call. He had everything planned out about what he wanted to. He had his talking points. Shout out to you, Frank Bay. Take it easy, man. Thank you for your call. All right. Don't forget to hit the like. Yeah, Frank, what's up to him? Hit the like. I want to get to something else here before the end of the hour, and I got to take a potty break. Oh, boy, there's two more calls here. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 805. 805, you're on the air. 805, what's on your mind?
Are you guys going to talk about the Canelo fighting?
Sure, yeah, go ahead, sir. Ah, shit, he dropped out. The elderly person that called in dropped out. I want to hear back from him. Call back, 805. You dropped out. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 979. 979, you're on the air. 979, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA and everyone? It's Bruce from Houston.
What's up, Bruce?
What up, Bruce?
Yeah, the Teofimo Lopez versus Ortiz fight. Man, Teofimo disappointed me, man. He sucked. Ortiz didn't really do any better. It was just a boring ass fight, you know. Kind of waste of our time almost. And yeah, that's really all I gotta say about that fight. I don't know, Teo. He just doesn't really like get out of bed for, you know, mandatories or guys like B level fighters. I don't know. He likes to fight on their level or some shit. He's one of those guys that, you know, he's gotta be fighting a Haney or a Matias or something like that if you want him to show up by the looks of it. Because that's the only three fights where he looked like a world beater were Loma, Shakur Josh Taylor and then the Richard Comey fight a few years
Right.
ago. And ever since then, like when it's not a big name, he just isn't up for it. And he better be just getting big names from now on, or else he might lose again.
Well, brother, I think it's because he does best against guys come forward fighters. That's what he does best against. That's why I'll put it out there now. You want to do good numbers. You want to be in a brawl. Matisse, you claimed to try to make that fight before. He's a free agent right now. Well, with the zone, they'll make that fight. Take that fucking fight. Cross promote. Take on Matisse. You know that guy. You're not gonna have to go looking for him. He's gonna come straight at you. So I don't see what the excuse is now.
Right.
All right. Well, listen.
I don't know. I think Matias would hurt him, though, man. I think Matias would hurt him.
Well, hopefully they make it happen. Hopefully they make it happen, man, because it's an interesting fight. It makes for an action-packed fight, like Jimmy said, and it's a good style matchup, man. And Teofimo Lopez can't handle movers. It's something he should work on, but he can't. So if you want action fights, put him in there against guys that are going to go at him. I say, why not? All right, listen, Bruce, man, we got to move on here, but thank you for your call. Call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
All righty.
Thank you for your call. All right, guys, I gotta go to the latrine real quick, but before I want to play something here about the Garcia Haney thing. But you guys talk about whatever you want, and I'll be right back. All right? Somebody take over. I can't leave before I know one of you's on here. All right.
Yeah.
Shout out to my brother, but you know how it is with brothers sometimes.
Hey, Jimmy, go ahead, Jimmy.
Oh no, I was just laughing. Brother. Sorry.
Okay, well, we can talk about. Gonzalo, did you give us your take on the Ortiz fight, the Lopez Ortiz fight?
Just kind of like it's one of those things where you're missing big. If you're missing big, okay, well, it's because the other guy did his homework and he's taking the play away from you. So, okay, if like I step to you and I make you miss by a little, I throw and I barely miss by a little, you're gonna be there to counter back at me rather quickly, like Canelo does. He slips by a little, then he's there, bam, to whack you. Okay, when Teofimo throws, he lunges, he throws these big shots. But when you're not Canelo, you're Jermaine Ortiz, you're running, you're not going to be right there quickly to counter back. In other words, if you wanted to quickly counter back, you should have studied the guy that's coming at you with those big leaps and hooks and whatnot, and just it's like barely make him, barely, when he shoots, make him miss by a little. That way you're right there next to him to counter back quick. And counter quickly.
It's like Gonzalo. Remember, Amir Khan used to do that a lot. He would take huge steps back, and that's to me the wasted movement because you're so far away. You can, like you said, you can't counter.
It takes the ability from you to respond the way you should on the quick counter, on the return.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here, fellas?
Yeah, and I don't understand why he didn't go at, like, he should have went at Teo, because Teo, he had, after the fifth round, he had Teo frustrated. So
Jimmy, you have your camera on, we can see Kitchener.
Oh, sorry, brother. Yeah, but sorry, he's just he could have done much better. I don't know why he didn't.
Yeah, both could have done better. I'm not saying, I think Teofimo Lopez should have won just because I didn't like what Ortiz did. But of course, Teofimo Lopez, I mean, he sucks when it comes to cutting off the ring. I was disappointed by that performance because remember, guys, before the Ortiz fight, he had beaten the lineal 140-pound champion in Josh Taylor, and so everybody thought, oh, Teofimo Lopez is back. Even the pre-fight promotion for the Ortiz fight they were portraying Teofimo Lopez as some sort of like pound for pound superstar, and that performance against Ortiz was pathetic.
Now, can I say
I'm gonna say that. Just real quick video. I'm gonna say that. Okay, Teofimo Lopez, how many fights has he had in the last 4 years? 5 fights. That's not a lot. That's like one fight every 9 to 10 months. So that for a guy with this style that predicates on reflexes and timing and distance. Timing and distance is something that you're not really gonna know until the night of the fight versus the opponent that you're facing. because you could be doing it sparring, but until you try to get that down against the opponent you're facing on that night, you need to like be more active, fight more than 5 times in 4 years. And there's never going to be really, I think, a fight where he gets totally like blown out of the water, because people are going to be a little hesitant to exchange with a guy with those type of reflexes. Because you've seen his performances, they've been hit or miss. Nakatani, Sandro Martin, this guy again, 3 bad ones and maybe against 2 or 3 good ones. So until he gets totally dominated, I'm not gonna like be like Teofimo sucks. But then again, he's got to give us more positive performances like the one he did against Josh Taylor.
That's I agree. No, he doesn't suck. He doesn't suck at all. But it's not. This wasn't a pound for pound performance. And okay, so you're saying that maybe the inactivity played a factor in this, because a lot of people are saying that the trainer is at fault here. He's one of the major reasons why Teofimo Lopez looks bad in these types of fights. He doesn't really have a real trainer.
Yeah, no game plan.
Timing and distance game plan, like Jamie said, and I think you said that if he fought the last opponent where he could have ironed out these issues, well, maybe now he's facing a southpaw who was circling the opposite direction and did his homework on him. So yeah, he's sleeping away. The opponent is going to be like, okay, this guy's coming. I'm gonna circle away this way. Where in the last fight, Teofimo had problems, but maybe he learned. But now he's facing the southpaw.
Well, can I say this, man?
Can I add to okay.
Well, go ahead, Jimmy.
Fire away, brother. No, I was going to say, the whole, with these guys are getting clout off me. What the fuck is he talking about? They're getting, like, guys who are in your division trying to fight you isn't clout, you clown. That's not what clout means. Clout means attaching your name to guys who don't want to fight you. You know, Matisse isn't trying to get clout. He wants to fight you. Another thing, too. Nobody's trying to get clout off a guy who puts up 500,000 numbers of 500,000. And this is where the problem with ESPN, I have a huge problem with ESPN. I'm sure Bob did too. You're on a Thursday night or on a work night, fucking school night, right? And because it was Super Bowl weekend, but still, majority of our audience has to be up the next morning for work. And the main fight doesn't fire off till 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have it. Okay, dude, that's just, right? How do you justify that? How do they call that? Like, how do you, like, you're the producer of that show and, like, you're not Bob or someone from Top Rank go, are you serious? 11 o'clock on a fucking school night, you're going to have this fight go off. No wonder his numbers were terrible, because 500,000 on ESPN is not good. But here's the problem, right? He also does the streaming. They don't give out their streaming numbers. In fact, like, I watched it on the stream, not on ESPN.
You mean you watched it on this ESPN app, or?
Yes, I watched it on the television, guys. I can watch, the ESPN Plus on my television. So I watched it on the app. I didn't watch it on ESPN, the television. So how many people did that? We don't know, because they don't put those numbers out. The numbers that were put out were 568,000, I think, which is dramatically less than the numbers he did against Taylor.
But I mean, you know what? Back to the pay-per-view thing. You're right, man. I mean, the pay-per-view, the start time of the fight. Because, on a Saturday night, they usually started in Vegas. They start the fights at about 8, the main event at 8:45, I think. Because here in the East Coast, it's 11:45. Usually that's when the main event hits. Okay, on a Saturday night, I can understand. But like you said, Thursday, there's no excuse why you got to put the fight that late, man. It's ridiculous. Number 2, you reminded me about that, the numbers for Teofimo Lopez. He didn't do all that well, and apparently they had to put the curtain up in the arena, which wasn't a big arena either, by the way. So that's the whole thing that I was talking about in the build-up to the fight, about whether what Teofimo Lopez was doing, badmouthing Puerto Rico, whether that was actually a smart thing to do. Because I was saying, look, people always say, oh yeah, Mayweather, the reason why Mayweather was big was because people paid to see him lose. Which I've never understood. That I've never seen that. I don't know. That seems just something that people see. It seems to me repeat, but then haven't actually put any thought into. And so now a lot of people believe that, including fighters. They think, oh, if I go out there and make an ass out of myself, like Conor McGregor, I'll be a superstar like him. But evidently, it's not working out for Teofimo Lopez. In fact, it might actually be detrimental to him, because he's coming in there having so-so performances, and people look at him, and then they look at him acting like a jackass. They go, maybe I don't want to pay this guy. I don't want to pay to watch this guy fight, because his performances aren't even all that great. And why would I give money to a fucking clown? So that's something to consider. And number 3, I think Jose had made a good point that. By the way, I disagree with the whole you got to take it away from the champion. There's nothing in the rule book that says that, but the judges in Las Vegas tend to be in favor of the aggressor. So if you're fighting the A side and you're not being the aggressor, yeah, man, what do you think is going to happen to you? And I think that's what I was trying to pose to Jose, to his point, which was Ortiz couldn't have been a little bit more aggressive. Again, I'm not saying he needs to change his game plan because, again, in theory, it was true. You make Lopez come to you, he's going to have trouble. But that level of excessive movement actually became a hindrance, or actually hindered Ortiz too, because he couldn't land enough punches either to win the fight decisively or conclusively, or to show the judges that he was actually winning. So, there's a lot to go around here. And
you know what I don't like, though, right? You're 100% right about Vegas going with either the house fighter or the come forward fighter. Usually, they'll reward the aggressor, except with Lomachenko and Kovalev and Triple G.
Oh,
because Triple G was the aggressor in the first one. Lomachenko was the aggressor. He was absolutely the general in the fight against Haney, and Kovalev was the aggressor against Wood. And all 3 of them got fucked. All 3 of them got robbed.
Yeah, there you go. So that's
they're not even consistent.
Right, the A side trumps being the aggressor. And also to that point, because I mentioned that Shakur Stevenson doesn't want to fight abroad, and somebody in the chat said that was untrue. This is what he said. He said, because Teofimo Lopez wants to fight him, Teofimo Lopez suggested that he fight, that he wanted that fight in Honduras, meaning a Teofimo Lopez Shakur Stevenson fight in Honduras. And Shakur Stevenson said, nope, that's stupid. I have one more fight on my contract, and he just resigned the deal with them. It'll be dumb to go to his territory when clearly boxing is more political than anything. We can fight anywhere else. So essentially he's saying, yeah, we can fight anyone else. First of all, Shakur Stevenson isn't that stupid. He knows it would be unnecessary to have that fight anywhere else other than the U.S. or Honduras. Because where are they going to hold it? The UK? Manila? I mean, this isn't the 1970s anymore, and these guys aren't exactly Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. He knows that it can only take place in the United States or where Teofimo Lopez wants, in theory, Honduras. But he doesn't want to go to Honduras because he said it himself. Boxing is political. So what he's saying is he'd rather fight in his home, which is the U.S., because that's where probably he feels safe. I mean, he's telling you he doesn't feel safe abroad, and he should be smart enough to know that if he fights, if the Lopez fight goes the same way the Cruz one did, maybe this time it doesn't go his way. So he doesn't want to fight in another guy's hometown, and he knows he can't really fight anywhere else. Who's going to pay to have Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson in their country? Like I said, it's not a mega fight. The other thing I wanted to bring up to you guys is this. While you guys were doing the Open Lines last Friday, we had an altercation between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, and we didn't watch it on the air. So I want to take the opportunity to watch it here and break it down. All right, fellas? This is Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney going at it, including Bill Haney also makes an appearance and actually lost his cool a little bit there.
Stop acting. Stop acting. Stop acting. Stop acting.
You're not my
Stop
friend.
acting.
Remember that.
Stop
You're not my
acting.
friend.
I'm
Your dad's a
fuck
pimp
out
and
you.
he pimping
I'ma
you.
beat the fuck out
Your
you.
dad a pimp and he
we gonna
pimping
see.
you.
We
I'ma
gonna see.
beat you.
We gonna see.
I'ma beat
We
you.
gonna see.
I'ma
We'll
beat
see.
you.
We'll see.
I'ma beat you. I'ma beat you. We'll see. I'ma beat you. I'ma beat you. I'm reading everything. You soft. You soft. You soft. Soft.
Let me pause it right here. Sobers, your theory is that Garcia has admitted to living a less than stellar lifestyle, a dirty lifestyle. And then we were talking on your show, and we mentioned this here as well, about him being on the, possibly being on some sort of pills or something. Is this just him barking it up, or do you think he might be on something? Because, I mean, look at him, it's nonstop. Or if anyone else wants to take that, go ahead, Sobers.
I think I'm kind of over this kid, dude, and his little antics. He's already made it clear that he's not taking boxing seriously, dude. So he's just putting on these shows, and he does look like he likes to get fucked up, and that's not something you'd expect from him. He kind of looks like a goody two shoes kind of guy, but come on, not in the circles that he's running with. You know what I mean? Not the people he's hanging out with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think he's getting lost in the sauce, BDA.
Getting lost in the sauce. That's not a. Yeah.
I don't know if he might be on some Adderall or something. Looks a little hyped up. He did, but you know what? It might just be his the way he is, and it's just like Sober says, it rubs off on people the wrong way, including me. Like, he's fucking cringe. Like, all those shenanigans that he's doing now, he did them against Tank Davis. And I remember this interview he just did recently where he's got the roller and he's rolling his face in order to like relieve the stress or something. You notice, BDA, how like sometimes like he frowns and he scowls. He does like this little fucking scowl that's so fucking cringe. Like he thinks he's a tough guy or like just fucking weird, man. It's just I'm done with that kid too.
Yeah, he thinks he's a biker or something. By the way, shout out to Earl Stevens for his contribution with the super chat. Earl, shout out to Earl. He says Garcia is infatuated with shirtless black men. That's why he's fighting Haney. And you know what? That might shout out to Earl Stevens. That might also explain why he likes to get so close to said Afro-Anglos. I mean, look at that. I know he's trying to talk trash and intimidate Haney, but why are you opening up your mouth that wide when you're so close to another man? I mean, that is highly suspect. And dare I say,
to show he's ideal for teabagging.
Oh, come on! Now wait a minute. By the way, Mirage brings up a good point. He says, "Look at the size difference between the heads." Yeah, Haney just has a giant Easter Island head. Look at that.
I already know you whack now. Your dad can't talk for you. Your dad can't save
in
you.
real life, though. Everybody know you really whack. You're whack. You're whack. No, you're whack in real life.
That was whack.
Okay,
that was whack. You soft, bro. You soft.
I've never been soft.
Soft.
I've never been soft.
We seen that video when Tank beat your ass. Floyd showed me he had your ass. I beat this.
Oh, he's got to bring up Floyd.
Oh,
that's his,
no.
That's his.
Did he say that?
That's his
it says a lot. It says a lot when Devin Haney is usually not the most upstanding type of dude, but then when we're looking at Ryan and he's like the worst out of the two.
Exactly. Great point, Gonzalo. He makes Haney look like a choir boy. Floyd told me. You know, I'll get Floyd to fight. I'm going to call Floyd right now. He'll come and beat you up. What a guy, man. This fucking guy.
Oh, I've seen the video. I've seen the video. You ain't gonna do. You ain't gonna do.
Okay.
You look like a ghost right now, bro. Ghost, you getting pale for real, bro. You getting pale for real.
Are you crazy?
Soft, bro.
Are you crazy?
You are so soft. I can see it. Your breath is just. I can hear you. You're not like that, bro. You're not like that.
You're not like that.
The fear
You're
is
not like
getting to you.
that.
The fear
I
is
just talked to
getting
you
to
last
you.
week.
The
You're
fear
not
is
like
getting
that.
to you.
I just talked to you last week.
The fear is getting to
You're not
you.
like
The
that.
fear is getting to you. I told you gonna feel some fear, right? Didn't I tell you that? Didn't I tell you you're gonna feel some fear you ain't felt?
Yeah, this is cringe from Ryan Garcia. The way, like he's trying to act tough. Look, listen. Appearances have a lot to do. You know, sometimes you can't change your appearance. He doesn't look like the type of guy who's intimidating. He could. I mean, I'm pretty sure he could fuck some people up in a street fight, depending on because with his slaps. That's what he says he uses in street fights where he slaps. But when you look like that, you should just try to play like the silent killer type, not the I'm this vociferous gangster that's gonna come talk shit to you.
And it's like we're supposed to forget he got fucking starched by Davis. He quit. I mean, he got stopped. He's talking like he's a killer. He still hasn't fought anybody. He's still just kind of a blown up prospect. He's just crazy. It's like, yeah, dude, I'm real intimidated by your fucking bimbo ass.
He should just be himself. Because when he was himself, like a younger kid, before he started creating this fake persona, that's what got him to the party. I mean, he was getting famous, and but now he's a different person. Remember Oscar De La Hoya? Maybe sometimes he acted like a little weird or whatnot, but he was always himself.
Exactly.
Oscar's always been himself up until now. But now, life changes, shit happens, but still, you know what I mean?
Well, De La Hoya did have a persona.
Kicked his ass.
De La Hoya did have a persona that was not the real one, but it wasn't as cringe as this, to your point. And listen, call me crazy. I think Ryan Garcia actually, with his length, his speed, and his style, which is he can actually walk guys down, I think he would give Haney a better fight than Prograis did. But looking at how he's acting now, and the lifestyle and the potential pill popping, I mean, say what you want about Haney fighting in lower weight classes where he shouldn't be at, but at least he's been consistent. Right, Garcia hasn't, and there's something to be said about that when picking a winner.
Mr. BDA, after, can we touch on, we're going to talk about what Wilder, too. That's some interesting shit.
Wilder? Didn't hear anything about Wilder.
What came out this week? Oh, you didn't hear about?
the excuse he made?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's keep...
Well, that and a couple of things later. Yeah, a couple of things he said.
Didn't I tell you that? What? Didn't I tell you you're going to feel some fear you ain't felt? We gonna talk about... Don't do that! No!
Hey, you turned your back. You turned your back. Don't run up on me. 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 Fellas, you better not run up on me. He's about to run. Yes, he's about to run. He's about to run. Turn your back. You're a clown. You're a clown. You're a clown. You're a fucking clown. This next one, don't notice that. Remember this next one, you get it.
By the way, I think that dude with the cap, I think that's Ryan Garcia's bodyguard. This dude and the guy in the middle here, I don't know if you guys can see me with the cursor. I think those are her bodyguards, because then look at what happens.
Remember that. Where? He's about to run. He's about to run. He's about to run. He's about to run. He's about to run.
So Haney's referencing the bussy roll. Because I don't know, there's the shoulder roll, or Garcia does the bussy roll, where he actually turns his back and bends over like he did against Duarte. So that's what they're accusing him of doing here.
You was about to run. Where did you go back? Where'd you go that way?
What you mean? We can do it right here. We can do it right here. We can do it right here. We can do it right here.
Why'd you run that way? So why'd you turn around? Why did you turn around?
We can do it right now. Now what's up? Now what's up?
Haney says you got security. Like he points out the fact that this guy needs security, man.
What's up? Yeah, got him.
So now Bill Haney finally his facade cracks because he wants to get into the action too.
What's that? What's that? You should have controlled that. Get your man. What's that? What's that? Get your man. What's that? Get your man. You should have blocked that. Get back.
Oh man, this looks like the Black College Expo.
Bill Haney's one of those dudes who repeats the same thing over and over. Yeah. What's up? I ain't the one. What's up? I ain't the one. Like, dude, what are you? I ain't the one. Stupid?
By the way, this is what kickstarted the whole brawl at the Black College Expo that took place last night. I don't know if you guys heard there was a Black College Expo.
Scholars.
And there was this is what kickstarted the whole thing. I mean, if that is private security, it's very bad private security because he starts getting into it with Haney instead of just walking away. I mean, what's this about? This whole thing is just a shit show.
He's thinking that. I'm active.
Somebody just say I'm packing?
No, he said I'm acting. He said I'm acting.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so that's about it there. Now, some people are saying that this, like Alfredo Contreras says that not only is this fake, but it's gay as well. Are they just doing this as an act to sell, again, that same old mentality that they think this type of shit is going to sell 1 million pay-per-view buys? Or?
Yeah. The reason it sounds kind of real is because they probably don't like each other, but if they weren't to be fighting, they probably, it's like whatever, salute, from afar. But since they are fighting, it's like, fuck, let's just bring out the fact that we fought 6 times in the amateurs, we split 3. I'm Devin Haney, I'm not that popular, I can feed off your name, but then again, Devin Haney's undefeated and the other guy isn't. So they kind of need each other.
Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, listen, I think this fight sells well without this type of antics, but I don't think this can hurt the way it would to a Lopez, his antics by himself. By the way, shout out to Boxing with Frank Bay for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, this is a loser leaves town retirement fight. I mean, it really should be. Because I think boxing can do without some of this malarkey that we've been seeing in the last couple of years. But I mean, hey, it's an interesting fight. Jimmy, you want to talk about the Wilder situation too? Unless somebody else wants to say anything about this, about this circus.
One last thing, BDA. One last thing. They could actually end up killing it, like with so much fake drama and stuff like that, like those antics. If they do too much of it, they could actually end up hurting the numbers.
Interesting. That's a different take right there. But I guess that's for another show. As the fight nears, we'll keep exploring this if indeed the fight takes place. All right. So Jimmy, what's up with Wilder? Deontay Wilder?
Well, yeah. So not only does he make excuses again, remember, like this after this fight. Yeah, I know it's the best man. Oh yeah. So, but just think of what he's doing. He's not, and again, no accountability. It's never his fault. He's basically throwing his trainer under the bus, but he's not even smart enough to realize that's who he's throwing under the bus. Because what does he say? He says, "Well, those guys." Parker only had to fly 2 hours, like he lives in fucking Pakistan. Right, not that he doesn't live in New Zealand or wherever he lives. I think he lives in England or whatever, but more than 2 hours away. But that's your fucking corners. Like if you know, but you knew that, right? You knew you were fucking having to fly 20-hour flight or whatever the fuck it is. Your team knew that, or at least they should have known that, and they should have factored in. Okay, we're gonna have to deal with some, time zone bullshit. So I'm going to secure a training facility over in Dubai. I'm sure the prince will fucking kick somebody out of their house and take everything they own and fucking make it a fucking training facility. It's a, if they have to. So that wouldn't have been an issue. It was just lack of preparation. And then another thing, I didn't have enough sparring. Wait a minute, then who the fuck fault is that? These are the things your trainer's supposed to know. And if you're saying that was the two things that what you just blamed, that you got there too late and the jet, lagged, and you didn't have enough sparring, then why the fuck you staying with this dude? And why are you staying with this trainer? Because that's on him. But let's be honest, it has nothing to do with anything. He's just making excuses. But there was something he also said in that same not hugging interview he did with Ellie Setback, who just literally makes my skin crawl, that fucking dude. Dude, Mr. BDA, you know what he actually says to him? And it was funny too, because Wilder, you can tell he's like, "I'll deal with you, dude, because you'll suck my balls and say anything I tell you to say." But he can tell he hates him. So people are talking to Wilder like anybody. I don't give a fuck if someone in the gym was carrying a spit bucket. Wilder would rather pay attention to him. And so he's kind of not looking at. And he goes, "Hey, I made a joke. I said maybe Anthony had the glove on." Maybe Fury's sparring partner mixed up and had Fury's gloves on that he had on, and he fought you in the second fight.
What?
That's what he said. I made a joke. That's how he worded it and everything. Hey, I made a joke. I said, Fury's training partner who cut Fury must have been made a mistake and put on the gloves Fury wore against you, meaning loaded gloves. Right? Imagine saying that. So his guy calls himself a reporter. So he said that, and he also said, and we both know you'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime, never ducked anybody. It's like, dude, he ducked everybody, you fucking simp. That kid just makes my skin crawl. But you want to know why you couldn't even sell 77,000 pay-per-views and you're the heavyweight American champion? Because he goes on to say, and I don't want to hear this, people say this is the greatest country. It's not. It's just not. It's not the greatest country. He's shitting on America. You think back, any heavyweight champion in the United States would never say shit like that. Even fucking Muhammad Ali never badmouthed the United States. He badmouthed the government and shit. But he didn't say this was the worst country. He said it was the greatest country because you can become anything you want here with hard work. Wilder's just a bitter. Listen, what it comes down to, you got exposed, bro.
Is it me or is Jimmy cutting off again?
I think you cut off.
Okay, so it's on me. Yeah, Jimmy, and you don't. Your icon is not green, meaning it's not even capturing what you're saying. So I think it's a microphone issue that you've got. I don't know make sure it's plugged in properly. And that was a good rant.
It's because he's got the expensive equipment, the headphones there. He needs to buy the cheap ones.
Is that it, Gonzalo? That's the logic. But Jimmy, you're back. I think you're back.
Yes.
Go ahead. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
Wilder
I don't know what's going on here.
you said Wilder was badmouthing the USA, but essentially, I mean, he's just blaming everything and everybody for his.
Yeah.
But can I say this, man? About you're right when you said about at what point do you blame your trainer, Malik Scott? Because that is training 101. I mean, you know it about how you got to acclimate yourself and you got to get to a foreign land way beforehand, at least 2 weeks before. Some people even do it a month before, especially if they're like. Hasim Rahman, when he beat Lennox Lewis, he was there a month prior, I think, to get acclimated. So this whole thing, and by the way, Don Logan told me one time, a long time ago, he said preparation. That preparation is key. This guy shows up, he's in the background watching, what's his name? Jarrell Miller. He's laughing at Jarrell Miller getting his ass beat by Dubois. He's twerking in the back stage as well. It's like, well, he wasn't taking it seriously. He thought, like most of his fans, that he was going to show up there. Hey, Joseph Parker, Joey Joyce knocked him out. Joshua beat him. White beat him, so I'm going to beat him. Yeah, those guys have a little something called skills. He doesn't. He's got the one big right hand, and that's it. And he wasn't going to outbox Joseph Parker. So yeah, man, it's. I don't understand why people root for him. They'll say they won't root for Lomachenko. He's overhyped. Oh, I don't like his fans. That's why I root against him. But you root for a guy who chokes out prostitutes, who goes after a guy's wife in the middle of a fight like he did after Brazil's wife, and then blames his brother for it, or his fans tried. No, it wasn't Wilder, it was his brother. He's a guy that claims to want to get pregnant. He says he would rather blow his grandfather than eat Twinkies filled with semen. Multiple times he says he wants to kill somebody in the ring. I mean, do I need to go on and on? Oh, and then blames everybody under the sun and fails to take responsibility for his losses. And yet these people want to keep rooting for him. And then they want to say, well, it's not because of race. Then what is it? How come you won't root for Lomachenko, who does what he has to do, or a guy like Canelo, or a guy like Usyk, but you'll root for Wilder? What's up with that? Anyway, we all know the answer. What else, man? What else we got on the docket? Are we done here? Close to 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I think we've covered most stuff, haven't we? But yeah, no, it's yeah. What else was there? One thing else that he said, like it's back in my mind. He said something else that was just egregious. Something else he said about the fight. It's just, it's just delusion. It's just he's always had yes men around him, and but yeah, he's not blaming. Yeah, again, well, you would have known that. And whose fault is that? You didn't have enough sparring. It's just like the things he comes up with.
I mean, you don't even need a trainer for that. Yeah, you know you need sparring.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he doesn't hit the fucking speed bag. He refuses to do it.
I mean, is he a professional boxer or what? Like, it sounds like he seriously. You think this is livelihood?
That's what it was, Mr. Hug. Thank you, Bucho. You reminded me. That's what he kept saying. I see. This is a business. This is a business. This ain't a sport. But I hated it. I hated this sport, but now it's made my love for it again. Before, I didn't go anywhere near a gym unless I had a fight. And I would do the bare minimum, you know what I mean? Like, just show up for training camp. The only time he was ever in the gym. I used to be a gym rat. I used to love being in the gym. This time, I was in the gym the next day after the fight. Really? How the fuck were you in the gym the next day when you're on the other side of the planet?
That's exactly.
So shut up. But that's in here or there. But that's what he said. But I used to hate this business. Now I love it. You love it because you lost. And mind you guys, he didn't just lose. He lost every round. It almost got stopped. I think it was the 10th round. He was up against the turnbuckle, and that ref was jumping in. And actually, if you look at his corner, somebody had the towel in their hand. I think they were going to throw that towel before he hit the ground.
He doesn't do anything, Jimmy. Like Pucho said, is he a boxer? And you said he don't like hitting the speed bag. I don't think I've ever seen him hit the double M bag. And running, does he run? I don't know. I've seen him punch the heavy bag a few times, but it looks like mostly he does mitts. And I'm gonna say this because
he never runs. You're right.
Because when you punch the heavy bag, probably at times you have to get at different distances. Because if you throw a hook, then you try to throw straight while you're too close to the bag, you're gonna smother your straight. So sometimes you got to throw long and then shorten up your hooks as you approach the bag. But what he's doing, in my opinion, well, in my thinking, he's just hitting the mitts because the trainer gives you the length and he feeds you the pads at the length to where sometimes he's cupping and he's catching your punches.
Exactly.
So when you go into a fight and you're fighting the opponent, But now the opponent's taking away that length. He's not like your trainer that's feeding you these mitts to where your punches are supposed to go. He's not landing. And I don't think he's working on the back because he's got the wrong distances when throwing his hooks and his long punches.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point too, and that's that goes for most trainers. They're actually, like Jimmy says, they're actually working harder than the fighter when they're holding the mitts, and they're not judging. They're not working on distance and all that. So yeah, you're absolutely right, man. It's a whole mess out there in a lot of aspects.
Remember BDA when Librado Andrade was on, and he said about the mitts that the Librado said that the trainer usually he feeds the mitts to you. Like exactly, if you're kind of not. Where you're pointing, he'll just put it right there for you to catch it. I was like, yeah, that was true.
It's absolutely true. It was correct, man. All right, well, listen, fellas, I think that about wraps it up for today. We'll try to come back as soon as possible. I'm going to try to come back. I'm going to do a second renaissance later on. Well, not later on today, but...
Hit the like.
Hit the like. Yeah, it really helps out with hitting of the likes. And I'm going to try to come back with a second renaissance this week. Cover some of the UFO aspects that have been coming out. I just recently read that Pasulka's book, and just as I finished, just when I picked it up, she started making the rounds on the Joe Rogan, all these podcasts that made me go, wait a minute, all of a sudden, why are they trying to push this idea that she's throwing out there? But anyway, we'll cover it on the second renaissance. Shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody that called in, everybody donated the super chat, and of course everybody on the panel. I'm talking about Sobers, Gonzalo, Bucho, Jimmy. Shout out to you fellas. Thank you for joining us. And we'll catch you next one, fellas. Thanks again.